Hello everyone, welcome in. How is everyone doing? I hope everyone stays been going good. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Bro, I've got some stuff to do today, man. We got some good stuff tonight. But I don't understand why is it on day 4 this gun speaks. I don't know. I changed the title, man. Mm-hmm. Title change, just chatting is working, okay. Good, good, good. Hi, Ghost Viking. Welcome in. How are you? How are you, my friend? Hello. How are you? Sorry to leave you alone in the general VC. We shifted to the live one. Uh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm drinking as well. Mountain Dew again. Cheers, myself. Drinking again. Ah, as you might already know, we are in a collab today, and we'll be playing Split Fiction. Cheers, cheers, cheers indeed. Cheers, brother. Lamb to the slaughter, what you gonna do when there's blood in the water? Bro, I love this song. There's so many songs in these playlists now that I just love, like love from the heart. Ah. Let's see. Trevor, we can change it to this bordered window, borderless window. Yes. This ladder, what you gonna do when there's blood in the water? Thing is, we're gonna see if the game works today. That's the thing. We have no idea if the game's gonna work, but if it doesn't work, I do have like some other stuff we can move on to. Like we can play the game with where the gun speaks. I already know it was going to be a collab today because I was in the VC video. I know, I know, I know. We set it up. We set up the whole thing. Although she deleted her whole scene, I had it still. So my setup was already done by the time she joined. That's the thing. All I needed was her to join the stream together, and that was it. I I think my OBS has been optimized so much now that I don't need to change much to basically do all the stuff. Like I've optimized it to the max, I would say. This is the best optimized OBS I think anyone in my friend group has. I would go ahead and say that. Like even if someone else were to start using mine, they won't have any problem like determining what's what. I and right now we're just waiting for uh Olax to do her mute. I'll take my streak as well on her stream. Because last time I lost mine. I think I was about to reach 15 something. And I think I lost my streak. So might as well watch her. Oh my god, that pace. That caught me off guard, man. That caught me off guard. Oh my god. Uh, that caught me off guard. I almost choked on my drink, man. That caught me off guard, bro. Ah, okay, I'm back.
Discord, it's Olax9272. Blaze, can you listen me? Can you hear me?
Hello. Oh, hi. Hello.
Yeah. Hi. Wait.
Uh,
Let me just
hmm.
introduce everyone to Terra Blaze. एक मिनट मुझे बस voice check करना है.
Do I still need introductions, guys? Chat.
Okay. So just
the
let me place my
in
cam that way.
the in-house waifu. Do I still need an introduction? Hi Rishi, thank you for the
Oh
follow.
my god.
Hi
Try.
Assassin's
So in
Blade.
three,
क्या हाल ऋषि भाई?
2, 1, let's introduce you Terra Blaze. Let's go. Say hi, Terra Blaze. थोड़ा कैमरा में सामने देखो.
Hello
इधर हाथ
everyone.
उठा के देखो थोड़ा. तुम्हारी टोपी की वजह से तुम्हारा चेहरा नहीं दिख रहा है. Yep.
The
I
fuck.
hope Blaze is audible. I'm audible. We both are visible, audible,
Hmm.
perfectly fine. Um, are you all excited for some split fiction? We're back on split fiction. Me being Mio, he
Uh-huh.
being Zoe. Zoe.
Uh-huh.
So
Waifu.
waifu, the waifu, and I'm the husband. I'm the man in this relationship.
uh-huh.
I'm
Uh-huh.
the man in this relationship. For real, for real. ओलाक्स बोला क्या मैंने सुना नहीं सुना ही नहीं अरे कोई नहीं I'll text you Labubu don't worry and are you back are you discharged from the hospital Labubu thanks Olax this is we are at it okay Rushi take care bye bye
Let's go. I got my streak.
5 game streak River
Bye.
Crooks how are you feeling today
I'm not gonna lie, I was watching your stream on my stream
hmm
and I
hmm
was
oh my
drinking
god
I was drinking and I saw you like I don't know what you were doing. And I almost choked on my drink. I don't know why. भाई एकदम से हंसी आ गई भाई मेरे को ऐसी खतरनाक हंसी आई ना तुमने
just
व्हेन यू मेड
welcome
दैट
to
फेस
Olax
ना
CTV chat welcome to
व्हेन यू मेड दैट फेस
oh hi Dark Molecule welcome in how are you welcome to the stream Dark Molecule, I know you know me already,
explain it
but
to
let
her.
me give you a quick introduction.
Yeah.
Let me give you a quick intro.
Hmm. Okay, wait, I'll change to stream together as well. Is it not working? What's the... Hmm. I
Lizard,
think I
lizard, 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 lizard.
this was the problem. I see. Olax, you've gone mute again. I don't think she knows. Does she know? I don't know. Uh, if not, I'm going to go. Okay. No, 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 no. We don't scream at others. No, Viking. Bad
Huh?
Viking.
Who is
uh,
screaming at who?
no one, no one, no one. No one screaming at no one. I'm gonna start shared chat. So yeah, what are
Oh,
you
yep.
playing? We're playing a game called Split Fiction. We haven't finished it
Gonna
yet.
be chaotic.
Yes, I'm,
पता नहीं
I'm,
कौन से जमाने में खत्म
I'm,
होगा but कर
I'm,
लेंगे.
I'm counting on it to be chaotic. Not gonna lie. Celiata, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it, man. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome to TerraPlace TV channel. How are you? Good
Good morning.
morning.
Hi God Complex. Welcome to the channel. How are you?
रात के
Good.
9:15 10:15 कहाँ की गुड मॉर्निंग भाई हेलो.
वो गुड मॉर्निंग ही बोलेगा मुझे मैं कुछ भी बोलूं
Hmm.
कोई भी टाइम हो अता पता कुछ नहीं है बट वो गुड मॉर्निंग ही बोलेगा.
What happened to
What happened to
Forza?
Forza?
You didn't
Forza
download
सब खेल रहा
Forza.
था.
I got the game last week और कोई नहीं आया
I like
खेलने.
Blaze's tea. Labubu कह रहा है. Hi, Olax. Hi, Ghost
Thank
Wifey.
you.
Welcome to
Thank
the
you,
stream.
Boo
I
Boo.
always say good morning. Exactly. Playing Valo. Let's go.
Oh.
Valo. How was your day, God? How was your day, Labubu? How's your health?
You have it downloaded?
Hi,
हाँ तो कल खेलते हैं ना?
assassins.
We can play it tomorrow. I'm down for tomorrow. Thing is, I've been waiting for you guys to basically download the whole game and so that we can start together.
Just chat. Let me know. I hope we are not too small.
Mm-hmm.
For the screen. I hope so. वरना character नहीं दिखते. The thing is that. So let me know. I'll recheck as well, chat. Let me
I
know.
think it's good enough.
Yeah.
मैं भी check कर रहा हूँ. चिंता नहीं करो.
Yeah. It becomes very confusing, honestly. But I hope so. It's not too small. I've seen like people being very small on their screen. मुझे वो अजीब सा लगता है. Remove cams, lol. We see. जा रहे तेरे को.
अरे चल
तू
ना.
बीमार है, मैं तेरे को सही में मैं तेरे को हॉस्पिटल में आके ना तेरी ड्रिप निकाल दूंगा. हॉस्पिटल आके तेरी ड्रिप निकाल दूंगा.
वो ड्रिप ऐसे थोड़ी निकलती है. हाथ में से निकाल लेंगे ना. खून भी तो निकलना चाहिए.
हाँ पूरा. आजा बोर हो रहा हूँ.
Don't do it.
Look, Valo also day was good, amazing. How was yours? My day was amazing, God. Thank you for asking.
I agree with
I hope you all had dinner. I hope you all had dinner.
भाई मैं
Chat
फटने को हो रहा हूँ
is
यार.
gonna be क्या हो गया?
बहुत खा लिया आज यार. बहुत खाया. डिनर ज़्यादा कर लिया मैंने. I don't know if I'm bloated or not. स्ट्रीम पे तो नहीं लगूंगा, वैसे ही पतला सा हूँ मैं.
Dinner, yes. Dinner was dessert. Okay, God complex. Okay. Show off कर लो पहले तुम. I know you can eat a lot of sugar.
मरीजों का डिनर is not.
Sugar. मरीजों का dinner is not considered. Serious? What did you have for dinner, Labubu? What is the मरीजों वाला dinner you're having? हाँ ठीक है God. हाँ ठीक है God. So chat, we're gonna stream along with Dara, please. Everyone from both the chat, show some love. The chat is shared. Be nice, be kind, be sweet, positivity only. And I hope you all enjoy the game along with us. Let's see how chaotic it goes.
Let's see.
Dal, roti, salad, custard, but hospital food not good, of course. अरे तो पिज्जा विज़ा ऑर्डर कर ले, क्या फर्क पड़ेगा? एक बार पिज्जा आ जाएगा तो डॉक्टर मना करेगा.
वहाँ पे बैठे डोमिनोज खा रहा है लबू. नर्स को बोल रहा है दीदी कोक देना जरा.
गेम ऑलरेडी रनिंग.
क्या आप लोगे? आपको भी डाल के दूं?
Wait, let me check the game audio.
हाँ. अच्छा, you're on keyboard mouse, right? एक शॉर्मा हो जाता डाइट कोक के साथ. भाई ठीक हो जाए भाई, फिर खा लियो यार सारा कुछ.
कौन बोल रहा है? ये बोल रहा है लबू बोल रहा है. One shawarma goes with diet coke. ओह हो. अब पहले तुम्हें shawarma भी खाना, diet coke भी. ये मेरे को लोग समझ में नहीं आते हैं.
अभी जस्ट खत्म किया.
What I have to do? Now what I have to do?
Damn यार. Yeah, I'll have to proceed. The thing is, I don't remember if we continue. Will it start from where we stopped or where me and my friend stopped? Let's see. I was playing with someone else as well.
नहीं अपन ने जहाँ से खेला रोका था वहीं से करते थे ना. Confusion हो जाएगी.
Dragon.
Okay, Labubu, bye bye. Take care.
Bye, Labubu.
बाहर आ जाओ, फिर दुनिया भी तो घूमनी है मेरे को. अरे चारे. Nice seeing you all. Lovely having you, Labubu. Bye bye.
Take care यार.
जल्दी ठीक हो जा. मंडे खेलेंगे अपन साथ में. मंडे को जो तू बोलेगा वो खेलेंगे, ठीक है लबुबू? क्योंकि ट्यूसडे वेडनेसडे तो मैं भी नहीं हूँ एक्चुअली शायद.
अरे तो स्प्लिट फिक्शन आ जाएगी गाइस और फिर अगले हफ्ते मिलेंगे हम लोग.
आज और कल का पता नहीं. If I can,
हम्म.
I'll let you know. If I don't have any plan tomorrow. Mostly
कोई
I don't
दिक्कत नहीं, कोई
have
दिक्कत
any.
नहीं.
Aaj
कल
थोड़ा सा hang. I
is
get a hang
Blaze
of this game again. No?
lagging? I don't think so. On my side, it's not
Uh,
lagging. Is it lagging?
On my side, it's lagging a little bit. I don't know.
Let's start the game, and in game I'll change the settings, I think.
God Complex, if you're watching the game for a minute or two now, just let me know if the cams are perfect. Like the characters while we are playing are visible. Just let me know. I hope the cam is not too small. I don't like the cam to be very small. I prefer it to be large. Why is my settings on? Never mind. Sure looks fine, but Blaze game GG. नहीं नहीं
Not lagging for
game
you?
की बात.
Huh? मेरा कैम GGWP
नहीं
हो
on
रहा
my stream.
है.
Yeah, it's a little laggy. Not that laggy, but a little laggy. Let's see.
थोड़ा सा तो चलता है मालिक. थोड़ा सा तो चलना दे. कोई बात नहीं. ए मालिक थोड़ा सा तो चलने दे. कोई बात नहीं.
नहीं, I think it's
धीरे
really
धीरे हो
fine.
जाएगा.
So,
You have to press enter now to ready up.
wait, yeah. I was
Sure,
actually
sure.
doing some settings.
कोई दिक्कत नहीं, कोई
What I have
दिक्कत
to
नहीं.
type?
Take your time. Enter.
Okay, nah, done. Let's go.
Do you remember the controls? Hi, Crunchy Nachos. Welcome, man. Been a long time.
WASDNF and E से वो spam करना पड़ता है जब मर जाओ तो. उतना तो याद है.
Not gonna
What
lie,
is
I
what?
don't remember most of the stuff. Oh, we were about to beat the guy, na? Frost King something.
So, how did you write this Monkey King? then?
Yeah.
Split
It's not
fiction
like how
time?
me and
Yeah.
Ella saw him. Rather,
We're
how we
back
imagined
to
what
Split
we
Fiction.
found. Is that a
Oh, wait.
good or a bad thing?
Did we
say
not
good.
beat him?
I'll believe it when I
Hey,
see
we
it.
did this one, yeah? नहीं, we ended over here. हम यहाँ से cross किए थे, if you remember. Wait, we came from that part.
हम्म.
नहीं.
ड्रैगन वाला इसके बाद वाला है ना? Who
I
remembers
remember
where we
level
stopped?
4. We were in level 4, last level, if I'm not wrong. Last 2 to 3 levels we were there. Hi, Krish.
Mhm.
Welcome to the stream. How are you doing?
Hope you both,
Welcome
hope
to
you
the
both are doing well.
channel.
Yes, yes. We've been good. We've
We're
been
doing
good.
amazing. How are you feeling?
Hmm. Let me just check कि last time कहाँ stop किया था. I'm still having issues remembering क्योंकि I remember we were on dragons, no? Or do you want to continue for a bit and see if we have already done this?
If you remember, I was this fish, and I was trying to bring you. We were trying to cross the poles and all shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then we reached over here. And then we were supposed to go ahead, and we stopped for a reason. I don't know
These
why we
monkeys
stopped.
will
I
mess
think-
with us, won't they?
Oh, damn.
Shit.
This seems new now.
What now? What to do?
Oh,
What to do?
I
Oh,
died.
that
Never
one.
mind.
That one.
I'm great. That's nice to know, Krish. How was your day? How was Saturday? What did you do today?
Oh,
See, where did your friend and you live?
I'm not sure. अरे we did this. You remember ये चप्पू आया था बीच में.
मैं बोल रही हूँ ये तो we did. You know last time what we did was वो चप्पू वाला thing. We did that. So we were at the right place where we were spawned.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember.
Let me check the chapters for a second. Chat
Yeah,
to
it's fine.
select.
Is this game like split? Can't you make it full screen through setting? No, it's a split screen game. So you can see both the POVs of both the players. That's what the game is about. And once the story combines, like when there are mostly like
This is where we
comms
were.
and all, like when the story goes ahead, so the screen merges into one.
This is where we were. Hello.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, we finished.
You remember I was crying ki I got a dragon that can't fly.
Bro, we finished dragon part, नहीं?
नहीं
वो
ड्रैगन वाला
बड़ा
बाद
भी हो
में
गया
है
था.
ड्रैगन वाला बाद में है ना
क्या ड्रैगन वाला बात है? अपना
Whoa.
ड्रैगन बड़ा भी हो गया
Spit
था.
acid?
Oh, I remember where we
Alright.
left. Wait,
हाँ,
wait. You were
Hmm.
moving some. Oh, oh. Wait. I do
Hmm.
remember. Wait. Was it some other thing? नहीं. वो तो फिर. Bro, I can't recall. Oh yeah, the. नहीं.
what
Are
do I
you
do
sure?
now
Why do I feel like we have done this thing?
we have done this thing but वो check point थोड़ा पीछे जाता है ना
Hi,
It
Pika.
take-
Welcome
it
to the
takes you a bit back.
stream.
what do I do over here
Steady. Steady!
oh that way
I can fly.
and I can
Beauty's
climb
got claws!
yay up here hi Pikachu welcome in
Pika, how are you doing today? Welcome to the stream.
rolling jump
I'm going with
I'm gonna go
Yeah, reach
sleep
somewhere.
good luck have fun okay Rishi bhai take care कल खेलते हैं We can play-
Yeah.
we can play
Pika,
tomorrow
after ages. Yeah, we're playing after ages, man. How have
Oh,
you been? How was your day? How
Well,
was your
it's like
Saturday?
riding a bike, except it's alive and it might kill me. Oh, you're not gonna get eaten.
Oh, I did it. Well, let's go.
let's go
How was your day, Pika? Good, just lazy, want to sleep but can't. Aww. And how is the pool thing going on? Are you still like swimming? Are you using your pool? How are your fishes, man? I love your fishes. Hey, how many fishes do you have, by the way, Pika? I forgot. Four?
Olex, I think you're supposed to bring the ball down.
कहाँ
The
से?
golden ball. वो रही,
अच्छा.
ये वाला.
I
Try
forgot how do you try? Second?
try
Like,
using your spit. I think
नहीं, wait.
from here.
so
I think.
Oh, I'm supposed to wait.
Hi.
Did it come down? Oh yeah,
Yep. Almost there.
almost.
I have 3 koi, 1 golden, and 9 small ones.
Hi Rajput, welcome to the stream. How are you doing today? Wait. हाँ, मेरा skill issue.
कोई बात नहीं, कोई बात नहीं.
I
Nice,
can't-
let's go.
Ai.
अब मेरी बारी. चलो ए.
Oh, nice.
मोटा होने का कुछ तो फायदा उठाएगा ना मैं.
Dragon.
Me good. How about you? How was your day? My day was fantastic. I learned how to play Phasmo today. I have 3 koi, 1 golden, and 9 small. 9 small what? 9 small what? Golden? मतलब क्या कहाँ जाना है? जाना कहाँ है?
उड़ के आ जाओ उधर से. Not there. That was my way. You see the air blowing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah. Oh, nice.
Yeah, let's go. Over here now.
Let's go.
Physics.
Huh? What?
What?
What
I didn't like
am
break.
I? Oh, what is there? I'm supposed to go from here. I think.
Oh, I get a jump.
Wow. What are these crystals? Another sign that the realm is dying. So it's
I'll break the signs that show realm is dying.
Okay, go from here. Oh, I came here.
Okay. I am supposed to climb this, I think. Yep. And okay, where are you?
आ गई तेरे ऊपर देख.
Huh, but I think you're supposed to get on the platform and I'm supposed to move this.
Are you sure? कौन सा
Yeah.
platform? Over there?
Huh, but for what though? How do you
Wait.
do this? Let's see. दिमाग लगाते हैं. कहाँ पे? How
I
to
don't
go over
know.
there?
I have to die. I have to die. I have to die. I'll die. I'm dying.
चलेगा. Where do
Hey,
you
have Phasmo
respawn?
too. Let me know if you have a spot to play some. Of course, Rajput, pakka pakka. I'll let you know. Don't worry, don't worry. I recently learned. Actually, I learned today.
Mhm.
Once I get the hang of the game easily now, I will do like Phasmo lobbies. Yeah, we can do Phasmo lobbies.
I think.
Wait, I
I
have to
think.
be over on this. Ah.
Yeah.
Ay,
Guppies.
ay, 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 wait.
I don't know. Even I
Go
don't know.
back.
It could be
Wait,
guppies.
wait, I know. You were right. You were right. I was supposed to come from here. Wait. See now. There we go.
And boom.
Good. I can go. हल्का सा और घुमाओ. हल्का सा और.
एक सेकेंड. मेरे वाले को भूख लग गई.
थोड़ा सा. अरे ज़्यादा घूम गया.
Okay. So if this is too
I'll go
much,
there. Wait, don't worry. Yeah. It's perfect. It's perfect now. Wait.
try this.
Crunchies is
Oh,
writing something to
guppies.
you. What's that?
I don't know. What we talking about, Crunchy?
I don't know how to play that game as a pro. I have played with other streamers and we do bullshit in that game. Array, I learned from a very expert person today.
It's a small
actually.
fish. Oh,
fun.
also 9 guppies. That's what you mean, right?
So Rajput, like that person
If
has
I'm-
played this game very well.
Oh, can you make it? Ah, shit.
नहीं. अरे मैं बच तो गई. मेरे को बचने
Oh.
का फायदा नहीं.
Oh, I see another path, by the way.
Oh. अरे. What did I do?
I don't know.
Oh, there is another path.
Yeah.
Where?
I see another path. Climb on
है?
top again.
कितने है ये? क्या बताऊँ, एक गवर्नमेंट आंटी की लाइन में ना सारे गाड़ियाँ हैं. पीका, I got
अच्छा.
scared.
Olax.
Yeah. I
Knock.
see. I know. I have to get. Hey, have we done this thing before? मुझे ऐसा क्यों लग रहा है?
We have, but the checkpoint was not saved, na? That's why.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Got it.
Give me a sec.
Um,
I'll transport you. You see the
oh,
red
this
platform? Huh. That might be
the one-
doable, I think.
Let's go. Yeah. I
Let's
reached.
go. And go to the next one now.
Okay. Let's go. Oh, I was
Ooh.
not supposed to kill it. I was not supposed to. I was supposed. अरे.
Oh.
मेरे को उस पे जाके कूदने का था.
नहीं. You were supposed to kill it. Good job,
उसमें
good
F
job.
का option आया था.
Now I
got an
think.
option to fly.
You're
See?
supposed to do the same
See?
thing
No.
again
I did it wrong.
from this side.
Wait, did you get green screen? Yeah, this is like Nvidia green screen.
Nvidia thingy, yes. It's the Nvidia thingy.
Nvidia thingy. Yes. No, I think it's the the Nvidia thing. Yeah. Thanks God.
Come back to me, come back to me. मेरे पास आओ, मेरे पास आओ.
रुक. ये आ गया. दिख आ गया.
But can you even reach that?
Wait, I can. Wait. If I can find an Alright. How bad you can be in a game. Oh wait, God, are we visible? Is our characters visible in the game? Or should I just reduce the cam size if you say so? Yes, you are visible. The characters are visible. मतलब बहुत ज़्यादा disturb तो नहीं हो रहा ना? Wait.
Okay.
I
He's
was
working
not
properly, I
supposed to
think.
do that. I am such a stupid person, man. Wait, I can fly more. I reached. Oh, bruh.
But I think
Wait,
I'm
अब
supposed
करो,
to
अब मैं
reach
बोल-
over there ना.
Exactly.
मेरे को पीछे छोड़ दिया.
How did you reach? नहीं, wait. I'm not able to find how to.
Can't
reach.
vomit all the way over there. Come back.
Okay, I'm coming back.
Get on the platform again, okay?
Yeah, wait. Arey, this house. Got the language wrong, but the translation right. Regular lingo.
Yep.
W. What happened? Said in Korean.
Dragon
yeah.
time.
I didn't
Yeah.
know God knows Korean.
Hi DJ. Welcome in.
감사합니다.
Uh,
감사합니다.
I don't know what that means in Korean, so
Thank
I'm
you.
not.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you. Yeah.
oh, you're welcome.
क्या करना
I
क्या है?
I think you can make it over there. Try again.
मैं गिर गई. I'm so stupid ना.
Hello Harit, welcome in. You're back on
Hi,
SF.
Harit.
Yeah.
Hi. We're
Terra
back
Lex.
finally after 2 months. Terra Lex. Thanks. Harit कैसा है? Stream कर रहा अभी भी? You ended your stream. Are you still in your stream? Chat, show some love to Harit.
You got this. You got this. Let's go. पहुंच गए. Now break that thing.
Lizard,
Break that thing.
Lizard.
You got this, you got this.
Lizard.
ए हरित को आता होगा ना ये वाला तो. हरित
हो गया,
को
हो गया,
सब
हो गया.
पता है, हरित को हैक कर सकता है ये.
Path is clear. All right.
आ गया मैं.
Roll out.
Autobots, roll out.
Chat, show some love to Harit Wars. Drop some follow.
Chum.
Currently playing.
Aha.
Ay.
Now.
Oh, was I supposed
Yes.
to?
Yeah, spit in his
Oh,
mouth.
wow.
Spit in his mouth. Let's go. We got this. Good job.
We've got incoming, Neo.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
yeah, that one.
एक मिनट होल्ड कर.
Huh?
कहाँ ले जाना है? हाँ ले लेना.
Bro, if she unpauses without
Hey,
telling me, I'm dying.
अरे sorry.
नहीं
अरे भाई आ गया.
कोई दिक्कत नहीं
I
Hi.
can't wait
Sorry.
to bring the megalith down.
ओ
from
बच
the
गया.
sky.
ओ नहीं मर गया.
No, rest up I ended dance. Oh, drop some cold coffee मतलब
Oh my god.
कहाँ? एक मिनट हरित. कोल्ड कॉफी अपने ऊपर गिरा था. Is that what you're saying? Hi DJ, welcome in. Hi DJ Weak Pizza. Welcome to the stream. How are you feeling today? Welcome to the channel. Coffee? Coffee.
I'll have some fruits.
Can I destroy these crystals? No, I cannot. There is no point. Stupid. Hey, you reached so far. How?
Rolling.
This is cheating, man. I am very. Ah.
Mine is a fatty, no? So we turn into a ball and can bolt.
Welcome to the stream. Why do I die when new people come to my chat? How have you been, DJ? How are you feeling today?
I think you're following my path. That's why. Oh wait, never mind.
As in?
Never mind. Never mind. आ जाओ.
Yes. How are you, Flora? Welcome to the stream. Good evening. How are you feeling today? Flora, I hope you're. I'm assuming you're from India, right?
Hungry,
If I'm not
hungry
wrong.
dragon.
Oh, Flora. I was like, is it Flora or
Flora.
क्या?
Name Flora. Like flower, like a flower. Hey,
Hey.
what the fuck did I just?
Hey.
Oh, you're Gyaru. I forgot.
Oh.
Yeah, let's go, Gyaru. But are you from India? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, I know what I'm supposed to do. Give me a sec.
Yep.
Now do it. No? Not this?
Yeah.
All set.
Now it's done.
Run.
Where are you?
On the platform.
Which platform? Oh,
This one. I don't know if you're supposed to be here or not. I think you're supposed to launch me.
yeah, that's what I was
Ads rolling now.
supposed to
Oh,
launch
we-
you. Ads rolling now.
I'm ready.
Oh.
Oh shit.
Oh my god.
Okay,
What the
we gotta time it.
Oh.
सही में ही तोप बना दिया भाई मेरा.
Yeah, that was really nice, man. That was really good.
Mhm.
Viking, if you're watching it, could you please clip it once I launch it perfectly? Are you ready? Awake?
You gotta stop it, no? Now I can get on top.
Acha.
Acha,
you ready?
I'll tell you when. Okay, 3,
Yeah.
2, 1, go.
Oh.
Too late. A bit late.
So
कोई बात नहीं. Bushum.
This one. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, boom.
Oh, that was such a perfect shot.
Got me dizzy.
Yeah,
Crazy,
that
man.
made me dizzy.
Crazy. What? Crazy.
Kinda.
Alright, let me come back.
I think you can come from over there.
Yeah, I can.
Oh,
I just need to fly or something.
Uh-huh. Oh,
I don't think I can fly that high.
no. I was supposed to bring you here. Give me a sec.
Oh wait, do you live in here? How?
वो देखो ना, उस side पे platform आ गया. I got a platform for you.
How can I die? How can I die?
Go to your left.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Now?
Next platform. I made one for you. Nice. Now onto
No,
the.
you were supposed to bring me.
No. Just you can climb to
Oh.
her. You can fly to her.
Okay.
Fly to me.
Wait, no, aren't you supposed to twist this
Um,
one?
You're looking at the wrong place. Over there. Yes.
Oh, I have to
You can fly. You can fly, I
I
think.
don't think I can. I cannot make it.
Can you not? Actually.
Chat, I died. Wait.
Wait.
It was my mistake.
ये तो नहीं है. It is not this one. Then which one is it?
I'm dying. Wait. It's my fault. of course I'm dying. I come. I think I can now come. Yeah, I was flying in a wrong way. Nah.
Oh, the two of you
मुझे
make a
उड़ना भी है,
great
मुझे
pairing.
दौड़ना भी है,
Rest
मुझे
assured,
भागना भी
we're
है, मुझे
getting
रुकना
along.
भी है. बस मुझे रुकना है.
I see.
Literally split fiction.
Oh.
Oh, this is
Okay.
again that one. No,
Pattern
we have
one.
done this.
Yeah.
Why we have done this pattern?
We have, but वो save नहीं हुआ ना वहाँ पे checkpoint.
Oh, checkpoint save ही नहीं हुआ.
Yes. So first is I think mine. Then the golf one is I think yours. Then I'll
Golf
go
one
to
is
that. First one is mine. So I'll start. You, what's your pattern though?
Mine
Yours
is second one.
right, left, and
And
middle,
mine,
right?
Mine is right, left, and middle. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember. That's
Ready?
Okay, let's go.
I'll start. I'll start. 3, 2, 1. Go, go, go.
I missed.
It's gone.
I मेरी गलती.
Go,
Sorry.
go,
I
go,
couldn't
go
do
back,
it
go back.
properly.
Again, again, and again.
Let's go.
I'll start. 3,
Hi,
2, 1.
Zen.
Let's go. Got this.
Easy.
Okay.
Easy.
We're about
Easy
to
indeed.
Hi, Zen, and welcome to the stream. How are you feeling
Is
today?
that an actual
Am I
name
tweaking
or
or
a
did we
job
do this
title?
door the last?
He was
We
the
did
Megalith
that.
General.
We
That's
did,
what
we did.
We did. The checkpoint never
Sounds like
saved.
some power metal lyrics.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Xenon. How are you?
L shift dash. Yeah, L shift dash. Yeah.
Are you supposed to go from here? I think you're supposed to go from this side.
I don't know. It shows me this path as well. Are we?
Okay.
Are we in a boss fight now?
Could be. Yeah, must be. It
Yeah,
is.
God,
I
the
think.
thing is, it never saved.
From the depths I come.
Crawl back to your crypt or we'll make you. What she said.
Well then, it will be an honor to kill the world's last 2 dragons. Faith extinction.
Oh shit. Olex. Move. I don't know. I have no idea. Oh.
Oh my days! Oh my
Oh.
days! He's attacking me now.
Huh. Oh, when I break his like purple crystals, then you can beat him.
Can I? How will I beat
Oh,
him?
shit.
Okay, I have to just attack him.
Yeah.
Oh, I did that. Oh, let's go.
Oh. No. Go for it.
I can beat him. Now I got it. Okay. Oh, we did it.
Rise, my critters. Feast upon their foolishness.
Aw.
That's all you. Beat the critters first, I think.
Yeah.
Help.
I'll help you.
You gotta save me.
I'll save you.
No.
I have to attack him. My bad.
No. Attack me.
It's the worst. Don't die.
Attack me. Olex, attack me.
I died.
Because the scorpions were on me. The scorpions were on me.
Let me breathe.
Yeah.
Let me. एक मिनट यार मेरे को रुक जा graphics थोड़े change करने देना. I think I hope the cam is not lagging. Wait, let me. Wait, sorry, Chan. Wait, पानी पीने दे. Hi, Maxi.
Hydrate. Hello, Maxi. Maxi is
Can
on
I
a
abuse
trip
them
right
link?
now.
Of course, Pika, you can. Pika, you can abuse
Be
him.
back
Oh, it's
soon.
fine.
Have
He's
fun.
very-
Okay,
He's
buddy.
abuse worthy. Don't worry. Of course, Pika. Pika, what did you have for dinner? What are you going to have for dinner? Are we ready?
Yes.
I'm
Let's
scared.
go.
I'm scared.
Okay, the scorpions,
what is
you're
that
supposed to kill them. You're supposed to kill the scorpions. When they jump on
अच्छा,
me.
बिच्छू को मुझे मारना है.
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
ओ बाप रे. हरामखोर ने मुंह के आगे ही लगा दिया.
Oh my days.
Fine armor.
Spit on him.
I need to...
I don't know what he says. Oh shit.
Oh no, I died. Achha,
Same.
we both died.
We both died to that.
Peak chat energy. Arre. So fuck. Was that Slovenian?
Oh shit. Let's go. Come on.
Your
Oh, that crystal is attacking me. Don't die, don't die, don't die, don't die, don't die, don't
Uh-huh,
die.
uh-huh. Kill him!
Oh my days. Bro, he attacked.
I'll get him.
Oh my days.
Never mind.
I fell.
No,
I
no
fell.
no one's cam is lagging. Truth.
Kirito, welcome to the stream, Kirito. How are you doing, Kirito? Good evening. How are you feeling today?
Come on!
You got this.
No, I
Oh,
got
shit.
I'm not getting anything. I'm not getting anything.
Ah shit!
He's attacking,
Bhago!
he's attacking. Oh my days, oh my days, oh my days, oh my days, oh my days. Jaldi aa, वापस आ.
I forgot there was a dodge button as well.
Oh, never mind. Never
Got
mind.
him.
Never mind. Oh my days. Ah! Mummy.
Hey, oi, idhar aa. Yes, go. Let's go.
We are almost done, bro. We are almost done. No.
रुक तेरी तो कहाँ भाग रहा है? Oh fuck!
He's attacking
No,
me.
no,
Oh
no,
my
no,
God,
no,
my
no.
God.
I died.
God, I'm so good at this.
Fuck.
Ah! Mummy. Oh my days, मेरे को मार दिया. Oh my God, I died.
Come back again. You got this. Oh
I
shit!
came back again.
Let's go. I got him. You got this.
Kill everything. Never
Oh,
mind.
shit.
Never mind. I'm gonna die.
No. You got this.
I kill every
Let's go.
Oh my days.
Oh, let's go.
I'm supposed to no.
No, it's okay.
Oh my days. Die.
Oh shit.
I am back.
Welcome back.
You're welcome. Oh, he's
Oh shit. Yeah, it's coming towards you, I think. Oh shit! No, it's on me! It's on me as well.
No.
Oh shit!
Oh
Fuck.
no! I came back.
Let's go. We got this.
He's attacking me, bro. Hey, ये tunnel कर रहा है.
Macanis.
He's tunneling me, bro.
Ah shit! I'm dead.
Don't die.
I died. ओ बाप रे यार फिर से पूरा मारना पड़ेगा.
I can't control it.
भागो.
My God, it's finished. Welcome to
Fear not, foolish riders. A noble end awaits.
Let's go.
बच गई.
ओए रुक जा. ए मोटा रुक जा.
Oh my days, I died.
Hi Pokey, thank you for the look.
I died.
ए रुक जा. बच गया. ओ fuck, फिर मार रहा है.
Don't attack me.
Oh shit.
Oh, nice. Mummy! मैं गिर गई.
Oh.
Next trick? What?
No next trick. Go down. Oh shit. No. I almost fell down.
Oh no, I have to kill everything.
Oh.
I'll clear all the paths.
Hi.
Oh my days, I'm gonna die.
The metal ones, you'll have to clean them up. I'll clean the crystals.
Don't worry. I'm cleaning all the way.
Kill him now.
I'm gonna attack
Oh
him
shit.
now. I'll go for it. Oh no, he's all the
Oh shit.
yeah.
We got this. Ah shit.
Got this.
Hanakan. Yeah. Oh shit. No. Come on.
You fight bravely, but no
Oh.
dragon can best me.
We'll best you. Fuck you.
Bro!
पीछे.
Oh my
Ignis.
days. बच गई.
Oh fuck. I might be dead.
I'm not came back. Oh,
Oh, no.
my days, I came back. He came back.
Shit.
What?
died.
We died? Oh,
Yes.
we ended. Bro, ek minute. Oh my god, let me breathe, let me breathe, let me breathe, let me breathe. Oh my god. Chat. That was scary.
Mm.
Oh my god.
Acha, the thing is, don't hit him with your spit and before I like break his crystals, okay? उससे फिर क्या है वो जल्दी जल्दी आग फेंक रहा है.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
I
And
hydrate Pika. Thanks, Pika, for the hydrate.
and break the things that have metal on it. Anything that has metal, you have to use your spit. And the crystals are my job.
Oh my god,
Bah,
Pika, I got scared.
bah,
Like, where
bhai.
the. Oh, that was tiring, man. Was tiresome. Ooh,
It is fun though.
it's always fun, man. Good fiction is always fun. Let me just check the camera. I never checked the camera.
Mhm.
Oh, it looks really nice, honestly. Oi, Pika? Pika, what? Oh, Pika, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Pika. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Pika. Wait a minute, Pika. Okay.
Anything is going to be okay and fun. Hi. We try. We
Sorry?
try. We try, man.
Anything is going to be okay and fun. That's true, man. Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Me go. Oh,
Hey, we have
brother.
to fight again?
Hi.
We lost?
Yes.
Oh my days.
Oh shit. Crystals gone. Spit, please. Nice.
Yes, Pika.
Makani is
Oh my
there. Oh shit.
I'm dying. I'm not able to focus. Yeah, Pika. It's off. 35%, yeah.
कोई दिक्कत नहीं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं.
The sale started.
Sale on what?
Let me fly. Oh,
Oh
my
shit.
god, I
Oh
can't
damn.
dodge.
Oh fuck.
I'll have your
Can't
head
dodge.
for that.
Stay alive, stay alive, stay alive. I'm back.
I'm staying alive. We come back.
Kill him. Hit him. Oh shit. No, 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 no.
Am I not
Oh,
supposed
fuck.
to in the crystals right now?
I'm supposed to, but I died.
I can kill the crystals.
You
I
can?
mean, my crystal, the thorns.
Yeah. Kill Thorns.
I'm killing the thorns first, well, so that it becomes easier for us. Oh, never mind. I died.
Oh
Yeah,
shit.
Pika, why though? Why are you asking?
Oh, let's go. Ah, fuck.
Oh,
Oh, damn.
God. Oh, I attacked him from behind.
Noise. अबे रुक जा.
Oh my days, bro.
I hate that attack.
Oh my days, he did that. I need a recharge.
Oh my god. The spikes. Oh no.
The spikes, I'm killing the spike. Oh my days.
Oh shit, I died.
Wait, I died as
I
well.
was dead.
Damn.
I was dead.
I died. Sorry, yaar.
कोई
That
दिक्कत
is
नहीं, कोई
very
दिक्कत.
difficult, yaar.
अरे, your damage works as well without like me killing the things. Oh, it's the. Wait, no, it's not.
Oh my
It's a
days,
different
this is
thing.
We didn't die. It's a different thing.
हाँ, checkpoint हो गया.
Proceeded. Checkpoint over here.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
How to
No.
dodge? I'm
Oh shit.
flying.
मेरे को दिख ही नहीं रहा.
Oh my days. मैंने उड़ के मारा उसको. Oh my god.
Oh shit.
Killing.
I'm dead again.
Oh my days.
I don't know how this works.
Oh my god. I need to breathe. Oh my god. Oh my god.
मेरे को समझ ही नहीं आया ये हुआ क्या.
checkpoint तो आ गया ना, एक checkpoint
हाँ,
आ गया.
checkpoint आ गया. Yes, we got checkpoint at 25%. Let's go.
Finally, bro. Hi, Pika. Pika.
क्या
Thank you so
बात?
much for the 15 bits, Pika.
Olex भी ऐसे ही माउस तोड़ देंगे अभी थोड़ी देर में.
I swear. और मेरा माउस भी एकदम खटारा सा ही है. गेमिंग माउस नहीं है ना, ऐसे
Pikachu.
प्रॉपर
Thank you for the
वाला, ऐसे
15 bits,
प्रोफेशनल सा
man.
माउस है.
I knew what you were doing.
हाँ.
O-
Thank you.
Olex ने बोला ना 15 bits, मैं क्या समझ गया, मैं क्या जाइगेंटिफाई किया होगा पक्की बात.
तेरे को भी किया?
Yes.
Oh
Yes,
my
yes,
god.
yes.
Thanks, Pika. Thank you so much for the 15 bits. Chat, if you don't know Pika, show some love to him. He's a streamer as well.
Drink
From
water.
Slovenia.
Become.
Oh,
Hi,
wait.
Grandma. Sorry. Even I stopped. I realized. Hi, Grandmaster. Welcome to the stream. How are you feeling today?
Hydrating. Thank you for the hydrate, Ghost Viking.
Oh my
पानी पी लो
God.
guys. Ah,
Wow. How are you, madam? The madam is great. Madam is doing great. We are playing Split Fiction after a very long time, like after almost 2 months. And Grandmaster, I finished 8 months of being as a streamer. 8 months ago, I started streaming, and now it's been 8 months.
let's
Welcome to the
go.
channel,
Hey,
Grandmaster.
सही में 8 month हो गए.
8 months, yeah. So on 30th
Damn,
September
bro.
I started. So October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May.
Anniversary soon, guys. Anniversary soon.
Anniversary soon in 4 months. Hi, Crazy. Ulia. Hi. And almost 24-hour stream. When will be one? Oh my god. It's up to my phone 20.
Bye. करो 24 करो.
Pika,
सही है.
Pika is like 24-hour kar. I don't care how many hours you want to go on regular basis. Don't come for 1 month. But do 124-hour stream, right? 12 hour at least. Come
हाँ.
on. Crazy, then I'll take a Mon Vrat. I won't speak on my stream, honestly. Will you be fine if I do a 12-hour stream of not speaking? Or you want a 2 hours of speaking of continuously by Olax? What would you prefer? 12 hour करनी है ना, ठीक है, मैं 8
ना.
घंटा 9 घंटा तो सो जाऊंगी stream पे. Yes, I'll do that. I'm gonna do that. I'll sleep on my stream. If we can bully you during that time, then chalega. How will you bully me? How will you bully me?
Earphones
You
लगा
don't
के
need to
सोना.
take us
बीच
in
बीच में.
toilet in 24 hours stream. I am not taking you to toilet. You
Hmm. Oh my.
Pika.
Hmm.
Hi Clown, hi TJ, welcome in, welcome to the
You know
stream. How are you
ways to
feeling
make
today?
you
Good
talk.
evening,
Come on, you
TJ.
know that. Please, is it intentional that you put game category as just chatting? Nope. Hi,
Wait,
Dini.
who?
Welcome in.
I did Split Fiction. What did you do?
Just chatting पे भूल गया मैं.
What the fuck?
I forgot.
Great days,
Uh,
Papa. Let's go, TJ.
thing
What did you
is,
do stream today? Huh?
Maxi is not here, right? He usually does all the
Hmm.
stream category and stuff these days.
Hi, Jay.
Hello, Jay.
Welcome.
Welcome in.
How are you?
I'm about to head to bed. Oh, have a
We're
good
doing
rest.
great. We're doing great. We're doing a fight and बहुत बुरी
We-
fight चल रही है, I swear.
फाइट तो
How's
क्या
the
चल
stream
रही है?
going? Did you end your stream?
कुटाई चल रही है भाई एक साइड से.
Yeah, actually, भाई बहुत crazy fight है यार. It's a good fight. It's a good fight.
Mhm.
ना break पे अच्छा. Fufu break.
Oh, Fufu break
Fufu
indeed.
break एकदम
Yes.
खींचे, सारा गम पीछे.
इसका स्किल इशू चल रहा है
Crazy
ना?
इसका
ना
skill
ना.
issue चल रहा
मेरा
है.
मेरा चल रहा है भाई. मैं 5 बार मर चुका.
Jokes on you, Jay.
हाँ. अभी अभी मेरा स्किल इशू चल रहा है. I don't know how. कोई
कोई carry नहीं
कह.
कर पा रहा मतलब. मैं
Yes.
carry कर रही हूँ. What do you mean?
Olex
I'm
कर रही है.
flying.
True.
saying because I see one streamer take a shower on stream. What the fuck, Pika, are you saying?
है Hmm,
भाई
yeah,
कौन सा
proud.
बंदा on stream नहा रहा है? Bro, what is your
What is it? Hmm. Pikachu has like different tastes, specific tastes.
her 24 hour stream coming? अरे मैं कोई 24 hour stream नहीं कर रही हूँ.
हाँ 48 hours की भाई 48 hours minimum 48 hours.
अरे वो मेरी बात कर रहा है जब वो बोल
हाँ
रहा है कि
तो
मैं 24 आवर करूँ.
हाँ तो मैं ही तो कह रहा हूँ कि 24 थोड़ी भाई 48 होएगा डायरेक्ट डायरेक्ट 2 दिन.
पीका ने
24
एक stream को नहाते हुए देखा है. वन
करो करो.
पूरा स्प्लिट फिक्शन खत्म कर दो दोनों. भाई यहाँ पे एक लेवल खत्म नहीं हो रहा है, पूरा स्प्लिट
सही
फिक्शन
बात.
की बातें कर रहे हैं जो.
कितने महीने हो गए हमें ये अटका हुआ.
अरे 2 महीने पहले लास्ट खेला था हमने अप्रैल स्टार्ट में. याद है वी प्ले डिवावर,
Yep.
so we stopped at that time. अरे my
Yeah.
cam was also not working and all shit.
Mhm.
And then yeah, उसके बाद कभी खेला ही नहीं 2 महीने.
पता है इतना
हाँ.
स्टूपिड सा उसका रेजोल्यूशन था ना, सिर्फ कैमरे का रेजोल्यूशन चेंज करना था.
Blaze, you
Blaze-
looking kinda nice with that beard. Hmm.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Try Italian beard with suit, yeah.
करेंगे यार, सूट भी करेंगे. ये देख इसको.
ये देख इसको. शायद तू फ्रेंच रखना.
नहीं नहीं फ्रेंच नहीं, सारा उड़ा दो, सिर्फ यहाँ पे बीच में ऐसा छोटा सा.
जेठालाल टाइप्स. क्या रख? फ्रेंच बियर्ड. जेठालाल बोल दो. तो मैं क्या हिटलर बोलूं?
ओ भाई.
बबीता को फ्राई कर देंगे.
ओए. कोई नहीं, बबीता जी को बुला लूंगा आपके लिए. मूछ रखो पहले आप ऐसे वाली, है ना.
हाँ चल, तो पहले मूछ तक ऐसे. बबीता अपने आप आ जाएगी.
हम्म. क्या अपने आप आ
लगा के
जाए.
देख दो. Manju, hi. Welcome in, Manju. How are
I'm
you
a
feeling
on
today?
break.
Good
चला
morning, Manju. Did you just live this? Well, did you just woke up?
Hi Manjubu, thank you for
Today
the
was
follow.
enjoy.
Welcome man.
I'm gonna go on break. साला सर दुख गया. हमसे बात करके तेरा सर दुख गया.
स्ट्रीम करके
Like,
स्ट्रीम
what?
करके स्ट्रीम
अच्छा,
करके.
इतनी बात जिम करके मुझे लगा हमसे बात करके सर दुख गया.
पहले मेरे को भी वही लगा था.
Psycho.
How,
Too psycho.
how's it?
How's everyone today? Everyone is doing amazing, Manju. How have you been? Good
You're
morning.
doing good.
Did you sleep
How
good,
are
Manju?
you?
Chat show some love to Manju boo. अरे
Hmm?
अरे अरे किसको shout out दे दिया? Oh my god.
अरे I forgot something. एक second. Ghost Viking, are you still here? Can you make
See you
Olax a
Laura.
mod?
Bye. Take care.
Can I make Olax a
Manju,
mod?
good morning.
Let's go. यार एक तो ऐसा नहीं काम करता मेरा ना, आधे टाइम तो ऐसा खराब हो जाता है. कल बाय चांस आई थिंक समवन फॉलोड मी जिसका नाम कुछ गड़बड़ था, सो आई वाज बैनिंग हिम एंड बाय मिस्टेक मैंने स्ट्रीम एलिमेंट्स ही बैन मार दिया. भाई मैं 15 मिनट से सोच रहा हूँ मैं ये कैसे बैठा हुआ है ये बंदा। फिर देखा, फिर ऊपर जाके देख रहा हूँ मैं ओ फिर मैक्सी मेरे को बता रहा है ओ स्ट्रीम एलिमेंट्स बैंड। मैं कहा ठीक है।
Oh,
हाउस योर वीकेंड सो फार? वीकेंड्स बेन कैसा था मेरे को भी नहीं पता। आई वोक अप एट कितने बजे? भाई मेरा शॉर्ट टर्म मेमोरी लॉस है थोड़ा सा। क्या किया यार आज मैंने? मेरे को खुद ही नहीं याद मैंने क्या किया। आई वोक अप एट 1 आई थिंक। हाँ आई स्लेप्ट एट 5, वोक अप एट 1, देन 3 बजे तक मैं पढ़ा रहा।
Manjubu
फिर
understands English, huh? If you don't know.
हाँ ओ सो
Oh
ओनली
yeah, she's a
इंग्लिश।
Japanese Canadian.
I see.
Yeah.
So I slept at 5, woke up at 1, then till 3 I was just laying down. Not just laying down, manga पढ़ रहा था. I was reading manga. So what else did I do?
Oh.
After that I just played some games man. उसके बाद then I came for stream at 8. Yes. So non-productive weekend. Let's go. Doing nothing good. Wasting time all the time. Sounds like my yes. Is it? Thing is, we were supposed to play Forza 6, but someone didn't download it, and then I was left alone. And I didn't want to start it without the friends I was supposed to play with. Not Olax, by the way.
Oh my god.
Mhm. What happened? Kya hua?
Let's show some love to Manjubu. She's an amazing
Yes.
Japanese Canadian streamer who plays a lot of Dead by Daylight. Currently, she is on Repo
Oh,
or
bhai,
something else. Manju.
um,
Manju, you look awesome. Manju, you look very beautiful. That day I saw your face cam on. You're very pretty, man. You're very pretty, yaar. You're
say
like
what?
very pretty,
I,
guys.
I'll have to hop
Awesome.
on her stream next time. There's a cam. I wanna,
That is the point that I
I
put
wanna
foot
know.
inside. Because that was weird. Thank you, babe. You're welcome. And how are your kitty cats? And by the way, Manju, if you don't know, Blaze also has a cat. Her name is
आज
Shadow.
नहीं है, आज नहीं है. She's not here today.
Yeah, it's why? Where
Hmm.
did she go?
Other room. She's sleeping
Oh,
on my previous bed, जो दूसरे room में था ना.
so
Yeah.
Manju has two cats.
Is it also a
Oh,
black cat? Yes. Not
yeah, Shadow.
not particularly a black cat. She is multicolor.
Yeah, but she mostly looks like a black cat.
Black one,
Matlab, it's
yeah.
not completely like a very sharp, like a very
Mm-hmm.
how to say, like natural black color. But yeah, I have two
I have two
voids.
voids. So complete darkies. I see. Damn.
So,
To
but
be
his cat's name is Shadow. She looks like a shadow.
Thank you for the beds, Pikachu.
Aww.
No, you know what? I think 2 days ago, I was on a Discord VC and I brought in Shadow for a bit. There was a person who's like the VC avatar. It literally looked like my cat. This is as if she had just woken up from her sleep. Literally like that. Same tika and everything. I was like, did he just capture the cat right now and make it like this? But no, he has the same one, like ditto copy.
That's
And I was so
nice.
surprised, yeah. Good fun. After that, we played some games. और फिर मैं सो गया. Does it look like this? No. I pray to God that she doesn't look like this ever. I pray. Imagine she has lips like this, like the emote. Please, yes, I'm still here. Welcome back. Welcome back, Ghost Viking.
Hi, Shripad. 50 stream streak. That's crazy, Shripad. Let's
This cat
go.
looks like it mid sneeze. I'm not gonna lie, to me, it looks like it just it was a sleeping cat and they added a human's face on it, like human's mouth on it. I don't know why. To me, it looks like that, at least. Hmm. I think I was checking behind me because even if she was here, I don't think you guys will be able to see her, no? With the green screen and stuff, I think. But next time when we're not doing a green screen and she is behind, you guys can meet her then. Vivi Tado.
Dave, should we continue? I'm good.
Hi.
What about you? We are
Hi,
doing
hi.
amazing. Shripa,
I'm
how have
ready.
you been?
I'm ready. I'm
Okay.
ready.
Okay.
Oh.
I just played some music so that it won't get boring. मेरे को ना बिना music के अब से अजीब सा लगता है. I feel weird.
हाँ वो गेम की भी
And
वॉल्यूम कम हो
Shripad,
जाती
how
है
was
ना.
your day? हाँ.
Like there's no music if you pause the game, so it becomes a bit dull.
Exactly. I feel weird. Yeah. Tolerated 50 days of you. Maybe I'm ready for life.
भाई साहब. Okay. Was that a 50 days continuous streak? Damn, bro.
Exactly. 50 days.
I'm
You
on my.
tolerated you 50 days. If you're tolerating me, that means you're not happy. It वो मजबूरी थी. You should have
Oh,
said,
but-
yeah, 50 days was like 1 day. For
Okay,
Thanks, Shripad.
this part I think is easier for you. Oh shit, I'm dead. Oh, you died as well. Let's go. I was not the first one to die.
Yeah, I died.
तो पता है क्या? You can just fly on that platform now. I'll have to jump for this.
Yeah, got it. Oh, I died again.
It's okay. You got this. You got this.
Paul, how was your day?
Oh shit. Come on. Oh shit. No, 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 no. I fell down. I fell down. No, 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 no. I'm coming back. Give me a sec. I'm on my way.
He's gonna
Oh shit.
He's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill me. Of course,
It's
he's gonna
okay.
kill me. He's attacking me.
Shit.
He's gonna kill me.
Got him. Oh shit. Dodging is actually kind of difficult for me. Because when I'm in mid roll,
Kill me. See? He's trying to kill me.
where is he?
Trying to kill him. Okay,
Ah,
he
shit.
killed me.
Oh shit. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
Don't die, don't die.
Let's go. Oh shit.
I came back, I came back,
Come
I
on.
came back.
Thank you for the head pat.
Oh my face.
Come on.
Oh my face.
Come on, 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 come on. Oh, let's go. I think I got him. Let's go. We got it.
Lol, Lana, how was your day?
You're actually pretty cool.
We got him.
Bro, wait a minute. Let me breathe. It was
Too
good,
intimidating.
Olu. Actually, 50 days did feel like 5 days. Ah, so sweet, Shripal. What did you have for dinner, Shripal? I hope the music is audible, Shripal. If there is anyone in the chat who
No
can
stress,
help me.
big arm. I'll
Good
try,
job,
I'll try, I'll
God.
try.
Thank you, God. God, were you watching? That's too sweet. Okay,
Oh,
so let's go.
you know what I'm worried
Fine,
about,
Thank you.
Olax?
Yeah.
You know what I'm worried about? That was not even the final boss of the dragons.
Wait, what? Oh, yeah.
Seriously, that was some fierce fighting, dragons. The megalith won't
No
be
matter
happy
what,
about
I'm still
losing
here.
this general,
Thank you. Oh shit.
But we sure are.
Added an Olax. Added an Olax.
I had white rice with mango
That must be
pickle.
another
That's
side
nice.
story.
Amka
Yeah,
char.
let's free it from Raider's grasp.
Ah. Okay. Go to your next platform on the left. Left, 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 left. Did you right?
Oh, no, गिर गई थी. गिर गई थी सीधा कौन सा वाला
I
उधर
saw
वाला
that. नहीं ये वाला ये देखो ना इधर ये वाला yes I'll press the button or it will create a that got it.
Oh. Now I have to kill this. I have to cut this.
I think so.
Yep, I did that. Oh,
Good job.
now what?
I'm hopping in. I'm coming up.
Oh, you are supposed to hop. Oh, mummy. Okay. Acha, you can climb.
What is this? Side story. Side story, I think.
Shall
Over
I start
here.
story?
Over here. This way. Come here.
Yes,
Right पे. Yeah. E.
Oh, okay, got it. Let's go.
One more follower to go. For what?
You guys get a quick
Drew?
rest. We'll be right back.
Hi,
All set?
Drew.
All
Welcome to
set.
the stream.
Welcome in.
I have white rice with raw mango pickle. Oh, that's nice.
Hello, everyone.
Do I feel lighter? There's no place like
Just a minute,
space.
Uh-huh.
Let me just set. अगर मैं graphics और बढ़ा दूँ. I'm trying to like increase the graphic one by one.
Mm-hmm. चलेगा.
Yeah.
Space.
I'll hydrate. Thank you so much for the hydrate. Drew.
Back to space again.
Oh, this is quite nice, Mio.
Almost therapeutic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Ooh.
Oh,
Try
we died?
jumping.
What?
No, that was just jump.
Oh yeah.
We jumped that high, man.
That's just the one shot. Oh, that's crazy. Oh, are we in anti-gravity?
Oh, it's so relaxing. Good for you, making this side
Zero
real
gravity.
fun.
Huh?
I mean, yeah, zero gravity. Right.
I think so.
Why
Jump
even bother? We
and
need to reach.
oh, we can jump.
It's an escape shuttle now.
Please lead the way. Oh, that's an angry laser.
She said, "Please lead the way." I heard Blaze lead the way.
Oh.
Oh shit! I was like, how did she know?
Oh, I fell down. Oh, I fell down.
It's okay.
My bad. Mommy. I fell.
Oh,
How can I die? In jumping. Are
Calm, Zoe.
what the fuck I'm doing?
I don't think I should go ahead, but I'm just gonna keep going.
Wow. You just said you should not be going in, but you're gonna go.
I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for you here.
Wait. Coming that way.
F. Nice. That was such a great place to go from, you know?
You know?
You
It
just,
was quite relaxing.
you just zoom past there.
Hi. Fire, how are you doing now? Are you okay?
Fire
Welcome
hose.
to the stream. Good
Welcome
morning.
in.
Did you sleep good?
Oh.
We're playing some Split Fiction. Have you played this game before, Fire? How do you feel? Did you have some night?
Olax, I think we're gonna go out. We're gonna go outside.
Kahan? Where outside? Outside where?
Outside the space station.
Mummy.
So basically in space.
Can we breathe?
Sure.
I did not sleep too good, but Turbo actually cuddled with me, so there is a bright. Ah, that's too sweet, Fire. That's too sweet of Turbo, man. Too sweet. Did you have a nice breakfast? Are you feeling any better?
But Turbo,
Are
I
you feeling
thought
any better today?
he. But Turbo, I thought they
Oh.
meant. Okay, what is Turbo?
What?
What's
Turbo
Turbo?
is his dog.
Oh.
Turbo is his dog. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
Just like you have Shadow, he has Turbo.
Yeah, Shadow doesn't cuddle.
She doesn't.
Never.
Chat, show some love to Fire Hose, amazing streamer from US. Be nice, be
Mm,
kind, be sweet. He's amazing.
she likes to sleep under my leg if that's something. But no
Well, that
cuddles though.
sounds weird. It sounds very wrong and weird, but okay. Never mind. Let's not talk about it. What's up, Pika? Fire, what did you have for breakfast? Did you have a nice breakfast? I'm resuming, wait.
I
I'm not able to move ahead. Have you gone ahead?
Yep.
Oh, I died.
I'm coming back.
Mommy! Mommy!
You got this, you got this.
I can get it. Mommy, fuck this. Fuck this. Fuck this.
Okay, I'll time you, okay? Jump now. Jump now. Go now. Yes.
I'll do it.
Nice, nice. You got this? Let's go. You got this. Oh, never mind. Alright, it's okay. Please be calm. She is. It's okay. It's okay.
I did not eat anything yet. I don't normally eat breakfast. Oh, okay. Fire, do feel better. Okay.
Oh shit.
Don't. My DMs are always open.
Oh, never mind. I fell down again.
Are you dying?
Yep. I was trying to come back.
Oh. Are you trying to mock me?
No. Why would I?
Let's go.
Doesn't
Oh,
benefit
Pika, thank you so
me.
much for the 15 minutes again.
Get your suit. We're going for a little
Oh,
walk.
wait.
Oh,
Where are we going? Oh. What the
we're
fuck?
going outside.
Let's go.
New suits.
Nice. Ooh.
Oh, we're heavy again. Yeah, well, I'm alive. Just so you know, I'll go now, eat,
I was,
cook, then sleep
dancing.
because I'm tired. Yeah. Okay, Maxi, have a good rest, man.
Albin. Welcome to the stream.
Thank you
Albin.
for
How are
joining in.
feeling today? Good evening.
Hola, this way,
Where
no?
am I going behind?
This way.
Okay, I can't fly.
Yeah,
can't
we
fly.
can't fly now. We can't fly now.
What the? I was having fun, man. Albin, how are you feeling today? Chat, show some love to Albin Tog, amazing streamer from Sweden.
Oh, we're going together.
I think so.
Ayo. Come here. This way.
Oh. It's a different kind of.
Oh, on a walk.
Heavens. That's quite a view.
Damn.
Are we?
Better than I
Oh my god, are we doing a spacewalk?
Yes.
Wow,
No.
that's crazy, man.
Don't leave without us. Get
Oh,
to
it's
the
gone.
last
I'll go just
shuttle.
cop some LV shoes. Wait, what? LV shoes? You got some LV shoes? That's crazy.
Unlock it.
Wow.
Let's go.
Hurry.
Logged. Huh? Oh. You're supposed to be the one below, I think. Change the shape.
Oh.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
shape?
Go
What
go with the triangle. Go with the triangle. Normal triangle. Yeah. Yes, this one. Press E.
How do you know? How do you know I'm supposed to do the triangle one?
The shapes, no?
Oh, they already
Oh.
ordered the shape.
Oh, there was a
Okay.
timer. There's a
You gotta
timer.
be kidding me. What do we do now?
Run where?
Oh, run where?
No idea.
Zoe, stay calm. Take slow breaths.
Savings.
My suit. It's making weird noises. We have limited oxygen. We need to get to the shuttle.
Oh.
Oh dear.
Oh, nice.
Shoosh.
Oh, this is again
Oh,
like
shit.
a loop thing.
Yep. Come on. I got this. Come on.
I can't. This is
You got this. You
difficult,
got this. You got this. You got this.
man. Oh, I didn't
trust
get
you.
it. Oh, nice. Okay. I can't. This is difficult, man.
You got this. Take your time. It's okay.
Oh. But I'm not able to find. No, I died.
I think I found an oxygen tank.
I died. I can't. I lost. I died.
It's okay. It's okay.
How am I dying? It
8 months of
give me a
streaming.
minute,
Wow.
a minute.
Uh-huh.
Finally back
Sorry.
to Split Fiction. Yes, Omni, how are you feeling?
Hi.
Welcome to the stream, Omni. Good evening.
Hello, Omni.
How are you feeling today, Omni?
Getting low on oxygen.
I was not supposed to go to the radar.
Ne-
Never mind.
I think it's gonna keep pushing you like in between. Try looking back. Oh wait,
Why?
did we both die? Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
both died because the
died.
oxygen,
How?
oxygen.
And Super Good took leave and met with. You took a leave? That's nice. I'm so happy for you, Omni. Was it relaxing?
Oh shit.
Oh, now I got it. What I have to do?
Oh no.
See? Oh, what? Wait, if I go towards that thing, it will take me to the radar.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, see?
Ooh. Sama. Okay, the thing is,
Wait,
if any of us don't make it, तो oxygen तो खत्म होगी. So
Found an oxygen
I think-
tank.
we'll both have to restart.
Losing oxygen.
Can I even refill oxygen on my own? Oh. We both will have to do it. I see.
Oh my god.
कोई
I
दिक्कत
missed
नहीं.
one of the. Oh my god, I have to restart it.
Ah.
What the fuck? That's the worst part, man.
Oh shit. Huh.
This is difficult, man. Difficult, matlab it's a very aim lagao types thing.
There's an
See,
oxygen
now if I
tank
didn't-
over there.
It's okay. It's okay. But we just have to reach this part so we can refill oxygen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, O2. Pump. Wait, what? Oh, do I have to do it? Okay. Wait. Green is mine, pink is yours.
Getting low on oxygen.
Pump. E pump.
I'm doing it. It's not working. It's your turn.
Okay.
Oh, rapidly.
Damn.
Let's go.
Now that's a
Next part.
That was good.
It was.
Now find
It was
Oh,
indeed.
what? Hey, are we supposed to kill that shield or what?
No. There are like
Oh, never mind.
pathways we can go through.
stay calm, or your
Ah.
oxygen will drop fast. Right.
I'm lagging behind.
कोई बात नहीं आराम से आ जा.
I'm lagging behind. I died. Hi Sahil, welcome in. Thank you. Hope you guys are doing well. We guys are doing amazing, Sahil. How have you been? How are you feeling today? How was your day? Good evening. Welcome to the stream.
Hello
Just
Sahix,
a
welcome
minute,
in.
please. Sahil, you're the first time in my chat. Namaste, my name is Olax. I'm from India. I'm a variety streamer. I play a lot of Dead by Daylight currently. Split Fiction, Last of Us. We play indie games, horror games, community games. We also do cooking streams, IRL streams. Welcome to the channel. How did you find our channel? Which part of the world are you from, by the way?
Oxygen is running low.
OMG, that's amazing. You're welcome. Sahil, which part of the world are you from? Sahix. I'm not singing. Ah! Finally.
Dead.
नहीं खुल तो गया नीचे
नहीं we died.
I'm
Oxygen
from India.
depleted
Wait,
ना.
how did you find our channel? Rapper Olax.
Emilax. मैंने कल पढ़ा था कुछ Eminem X Olax वाला.
बेटी. I don't know what to tell man. What the fuck?
Because he followed me today during
Sahil,
co-working.
which part of the India are you from? Would love to know. By the way, I am from Gujarat. Mummy. How did you find our channel? How did you find our channel?
Happy thoughts. See another oxygen tank.
Oh, finally. Now where? I'm stuck.
नीचे.
Please. Oh,
नीचे.
नीचे. Let's go. Mummy,
सामने.
mummy.
Ah shit. सामने.
I found you
You
because
got
you
this.
followed me today during co-working. Wait, 1 minute. Sorry, please. Sahix. Wait, you're from India. You were co-working in the around 11 p.m., 11 a.m., 12 p.m. Is that you guy? Oh my God, Sahil. Sahil, I had so much fun. I was a little sleepy. I mean, I wasn't able to sleep, but that music which you were playing, it was so soothing. I slept so well. Thank you so much, first of all. I wanted like a 20 minutes, 60 minutes of nap, and it was such a pleasant music, Sahil. Love you, man. Thank you so much. Sahil, which part of India are you from? Would love to know that. And I didn't know you were from India. I just randomly scrolled and I found you. Of course. Delhi
Oh,
NCR.
NCR.
That's nice.
I'm close by,
Blaze
man.
is from Haryana.
I'm
by the
close
way.
by.
Yeah, he's from Haryana. Devious, welcome to the stream. Wait, you all met each other? I mean, Albin. Wait, Albin, do you know Sahil? Is it Sahix or Sahil, should I call?
Sahix, I think.
Hola.
Intro.
Hi, Devious. Welcome
song
in.
request.
Game show, Devious. How have you been?
I think it
Sahil is
works.
fine. Okay, thank you.
Let me check if song requests are working, man.
Getting low on oxygen. Okay,
Cha-
Evie does it.
Okay.
I don't think it's working, man. Oh shit, my bad.
No, I'm just, it's fine.
Oh, let's go.
Got it.
Next part.
Olax, read my message. I got news for you. Omni, can you just wait? I'm actually in a game. Once I finish the game, I'll stop and I'll read if you don't mind. Where have you sent me the message? WhatsApp or Discord?
This thing.
Oh, another oxygen.
No, no, no.
Will that work for me? I hope you don't mind. I'm so sorry.
It's the
You make me
puzzle.
kind- Oh, what the-
It's a puzzle. Okay, you have to do a Y, like inverted Y. Change,
Ah,
change,
got it.
change to a different one. Change to a different one. It's a different
How to
Y.
change?
Arrow keys. Not this one. Another one. Yeah, this one. This one.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one.
Go, 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 go.
Oh, that's crazy, man. Like,
You got the balls. You got the balls. I think.
what? What?
You got the circles. I think.
Yes, I got the balls. I got the balls. Blaze, don't you have the balls?
Uh, रामकोर स्निप स्निप क्या है ये?
God, I love you, man. Thank you so much. Because I was going to clip that. But I was really damn the broadcast. And that's the first. God, I thought you were actually busy. You won't be able to do so. So that's why I'm clipping all the things. But that's crazy. You're too. It's. Oh wow, love this game. It's so engaging. Yeah, Sahil. We are
Oh
playing
my
it after 2
God.
months. We played like for 6 streams.
Always
Now
listening
it's
for
my 7th
clips.
stream.
Damn, bro.
I am on Valo, but always listening for clips. Oh my god, that's too sweet. I
Bhai
love you,
re.
man. I love you.
Okay. We both got
Yeah,
one
Blaze,
circle and
you
half a line.
you didn't get balls, huh? You didn't get balls.
Shut up.
I told you, Chad. I am
Ah.
the man in this relationship.
Ah.
Oh my god, I was so right. Not bad at all. Eating fat. What? Eating fat? LS in Valo? What does that mean?
Thank you for the follow, Sahix. Welcome, man.
Sahil,
Ah.
thank you so much for hopping in. That's too sweet of you. Okay, he's from Delhi. I forgot. My bad.
Yeah. You know, I get like specific headaches
Wait,
because I
what?
laugh too much.
Oi,
अभी वो
chat.
शुरू होने वाला है.
Chatto. Everyone, listen. Chattos. Chatto.
क्या?
If I'm not wrong, check. Did I get 1100 followers? Did I
हुआ
reach
क्या?
1100?
Did you?
Oh, chattos. Yes, chattos. Chatto. Bhai Sahab.
एक
Did I
एक
get
दूर
1100
एक दूर
followers?
एक
Am
दूर
I on
एक दूर I think.
1100? Am I on
Wait.
1100? Chat. You're almost
One
there. Let's go. Why मेरे को
one left
1100
now.
क्यों दिखा रहा है फिर यहाँ पे?
One left.
Never mind. Yeah.
One left.
On fun follower goal में 1099, but on this thing it tells me never mind. One more left. Yeah, maybe I be tweaking. No. You are not tweaking. The thing is, in Stream Manager in the dashboard it shows me 1100. I got confused.
Mhm.
I thought I missed it, but never mind. My bad. Sorry, chatto. You guys go back to work. 1100 होंगे तो मैं बुला लूँगी. I'll call you guys. Sahil, I hope you're okay with English and Hindi. I mean, English so is fine, but
क्या अभी जाओ 1100 पे आना.
it's a bot.
Which one?
What is this?
All
don't
the
want to. Oh no, Sahil. I appreciate you making me reach 1100, but honestly, I don't like alt accounts. I'm so sorry. I might sound rude. I know. You can call me अरे ये तो कुत्ती साली है, but now that thing, I'm not. It sounds so bad, but yeah. I really don't
1100
want
but
an alt account. No, it's completely. Yeah, I hope you understand. I want like organic, like. ungrateful. But Sahil, you following me was like, I'm very grateful. I hope you get
Mhm.
it. I sound very wrong. I know. Maybe I'll be tweaking. Sahil, please don't mind. I know you are first time in my chat today. I don't want to sound very rude. I did sound rude. I'm so sorry. बेस कुछ बोलना सपोर्ट तो
मैं
कर
क्या
मुझे
मैं क्या भाई रूट था, मैं क्या बोलूँ उसमें?
अरे don't be sorry, 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 don't be sorry. Olax G, hi DVS.
हाँ।
Wait, DVS, did you see that thing which God made for me? Did you see that thing? The
अबे
Parle G
मेरे
girl
को
thing.
डिस्कॉर्ड का वो कहाँ से आ
What's
रहा है
up?
यार बार बार? Is it from your
Is the
side?
streamer mode enabled? Is the streamer mode enabled?
No.
God made what? The Parle G girl of the Parle G girl version of mine. Chad, I'm the Parle G girl. Ha 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 ha.
Oh हाँ, I saw the Parle G one. भाई
Did you?
ऐसे ऐसे बैठी है, कैसे बैठी है? ऐसे बैठी है ना? कुछ तो है.
Chad,
The
who
the
I watched it. I
the
purposely
duo.
watched it and I like figured out.
Hi Cole, hi Void, hi Prime. Welcome
Hi
back.
Cole Boy, the duo, the split fiction is back.
Yes
Yeah.
sir.
Sahil. I'm so sorry. I know I sound very rude. I know I sound very. I know. Sorry. Sorry. Wait, this picture. Saved pictures. Camera roll, save pictures, screenshots. Mm, why am I not able to find a picture? Wait, I'm not able to find. No, you don't. Dude, it's all
I
chill.
blaze, I blaze, I blaze.
Sahil, what do you do? Like, what were you working upon? Like, were you doing your office work or something like that? Chat, show some love to Sahil. I forgot to give a shout out. My bad. I'm so sorry. I apologize.
Mm.
Chat, show some love to Sahil. He does co-working and studying streams.
Ah.
Sahil, like, do you work or are you a student?
UPSC
UPSC
yes.
exam. Oh my god.
बाप रे.
बिहार से
भाई
हो नहीं दिल्ली से
नहीं.
हो sorry
अरे हेलो.
you know
ज़्यादा
what at
रियली हो
this point
गया.
just ban me at this point you just ban me Sahil I don't deserve your follow I don't even so I don't even deserve your original account
चलो
follow
ब्ले
I swear to god
चलो ब्लेज का पीसी आज भी ऑन हो गया. यस भाई, जिस दिन नहीं होगा ना उस दिन में नहीं आएगा.
oh my god
The day my
wait
PC
तो
doesn't
तुम
turn
यूपीएससी
on.
की तैयारी कर रहे हो तो तुम ट्विच पे क्यों पहली बात तो ये कि तुम ट्विच पे यूपीएससी की तैयारियां क्यों कर रहे हो मेरा मेरा सवाल ये है तुमसे
क्योंकि
और ये
यूपीएससी नहीं
दिल्ली
निकला तो
और
पैसा
ये
भी
बिहार का
निकलना
थोड़ी
चाहिए ना.
अरे काश अरे तुम एक बार झूठ मूठ के लिए बोल देते बिहार का हो बिहार के हो लैंग्वेज को क्या हुआ है ओह माय गॉड
ओ भाई,
आई
रेसिस्ट
नो
बनने के चक्कर
मेरी
में.
बिहारी निकल मेरी
ओ भाई,
but it kind of gets lonely at
lonely
some point
at some point.
Aww.
That's true.
Chat don't make
By
him feel lonely show some love to Sahil he streams
studying
mindful streaming
alone is really really boring, man.
मैं बोलती हूँ studying is boring मैं तो बोल रही हूँ
हाँ,
studying is boring
वो है.
मैं बोल रही हूँ
तभी
पढ़ाई लिखाई बंद करो
तभी तो गेम खेल रहे हैं हम बैठे.
ए तू खेल रहा है मैं इंजीनियरिंग की है मैंने एमबीए की है
What do you mean? मेरी भी बीबीए और एमसीए तो है. हेलो, मास्टर्स मेरी भी है. सेम ही.
एमसीए का जो एमसी है ना तेरा वो हो चुका है
वो है.
oh my god
Olax is in a
by the
different mood
way
today, भाई.
I'm not being racist or something but मैं खुद यूपी की हूँ मेरे roots यूपी के साहिल मेरे roots यूपी के हैं and to make you feel more
Miss-
better I'm from the
Mr.
Bundelkhand
Good.
region if you know
Mhm. मेरे को नहीं आइडिया।
I'm just making him feel better कि मैं कोई जोक वोक
हाँ।
नहीं बनाई थी, jokes on me as well. मैं तो बना सकती हूँ jokes, मैं तो यूपी की हूँ। यूपी बिहार के jokes बनते हैं।
क्या मेरा चलता है? तुम नहीं बोल सकते।
मेरा तो चलता है।
हम्म।
Someone clip that Olax being racist, racism at its beginning. But you said Gujarat. I live in Gujarat. I'm not Gujarati, but I was born in MP, Bhopal. I was brought up in Gujarat. Like my parents always like before their marriage. No, before the marriage came. Marriage say they lived in Gujarat.
हाँ
But my dad is from UP. My mom is from MP.
भाई, पता है कल है ना, मैं थोड़ा
Oh
सा
my God,
उदास हो गया था
Pika.
आफ्टर स्ट्रीम ना।
भाई एक बार के लिए लगा
क्या
he's
हुआ?
sending his your shadows emote, but I think
अच्छा,
it's Pika. Pika also owns cat. Pika, how many cats do you have?
डज ही? फनी मोड।
My parents are from yeah. By the way, DVS is also from Gujarat. Matlab his parents are from
करेक्ट,
Gujarat, but
घोस्ट
he
वाइकिंग।
was born and
आई
brought up
गॉट
in
यू।
Canada. No, it's Laura. Laura who? Laura con? I mean Laura who? I forget. I start speaking to Pikachu in Hindi. I don't know why. He's from Slovenia.
यार मैं कुछ बोल दूंगा यार।
क्या बोल 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 बोल.
नहीं भाई।
Oh yeah, he has 3 cats. Oh,
अरे
oh yeah, the
ओलैक्स,
cat who is your mod. Huh?
नॉक नॉक।
Knock 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 knock. Who? Who's there?
अब मैं कहा नॉक नॉक तो ठीक से कर यार। नॉक नॉक अगेन।
Who's there?
लोड।
Who Lord?
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा।
You can't make me do it. I'm not gonna fall for that.
भाई कावा फंस गई थी उसमें, मैंने क्लिप करके एडिट करके डाल दिया।
Oh my god.
हाँ।
Give me one. Give me one. You have multiple cats. My mother wouldn't let me get even one.
ओ भाई यार, अभी है ना तो सोच रही
Knock
थी।
knock. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Food.
तू फुद्दू। हुड। भाई कल पैदा हुआ था क्या मैं? भाई।
तेरा नहीं मैं lover. I'll pay you just to say that you're gifting me in front of my mother. I was so ready with clip. Oh my god, I have 2 black and 1 caramel color. Yeah, Pika is also a cat owner. Cat owner, fish owner, mushroom owner और क्या? और क्या पाल रखे हो तुम Pika? Pika, what do you pet? What else do you have as a pet?
और तो भाई कीड़े ही हो सकते हैं।
By the way, did Sahil go?
भाई टर्टल,
Turtle.
हेलो।
Oh God, he's
भाई
turtle.
पूरा पूरा पेटिंग
Bro,
जू
how
बना
do you
रखा है
take
यार।
care? So, Pika, how do you take care of them? Like while you go to work and all, how do you manage? Oh, I'm here. Okay, Sahil.
What will you do
Chat, show
with
some
2
love to Tera,
black?
please.
Send one to
Amazing
me, I'll
streamer
take
from
care of it।
Haryana. हरियाणवी का है, हरियाणवी बोलता है ये. भाई हरियाणवी
कहाँ?
बोल.
मेरे को आती ही नहीं भाई।
अरे
हाँ मेरे को नहीं आती।
मारी छोरी छोरों से कम है क्या?
हाँ ठीक है भाई। ये कर लो। From
From
which
which
district?
district?
I'm from Hisar, man.
Oh हाँ हिसार का है.
Uh,
Why is God so unfair? Why is God so unfair? God complex. What did you do to Omni?
क्या
God
किया?
complex.
अबे वो
I don't
गॉड,
know.
एक्चुअल
Omni
में
says
गॉड भी
he.
तो हो सकता है।
अच्छा.
I'm playing Valo।
I'm playing Val.
अबे वो कैट्स की बात कर रहा था।
Ah, no, that big God, Big G. Hisar, damn. Are you Bishnoi?
बिश्नोई बिश्नोई, नहीं नहीं।
Bishnoi.
बिश्नोई क्या होता है? बिश्नोई कास्ट होती है क्या कोई?
Bishnoi caste होगी हाँ. I
हाँ,
think so.
मैं जाट होगी ना फिर कास्ट तो मेरी, आई थिंक। क्या भाई?
ये देखो, तुम अच्छे से देख लो साहिल, इस बंदे को अच्छे से देख लो, मैंने जूम इन कर दिया।
Point
ऊपर कर
blank.
शक्ल, थोड़ी ऊपर कर, कैमरे में देख।
ठीक है।
Get him. Send rishtas for him, chat.
अरे हेलो नहीं भाई, माफी।
I'm actually born in Sonipat and lived there till I was 10. Ooh.
ओह डैम।
सोनीपत कहाँ आया? यूपी में आया ना?
हाँ, आई थिंक सो, आई थिंक सो।
Sonipat is in UP if I'm not wrong.
हम्म।
Not you. How can I say something?
हरियाणा में सोनीपत? अच्छा हाँ भाई हरियाणा में है यार
Oh,
सोनीपत।
हरियाणा, अच्छा, my bad.
हाँ,
Oh,
मैं
my
खुद
bad.
कंफ्यूज हो गया था, वो इतना कॉन्फिडेंस से बोली ना ओलेक्स।
अरे वो पानीपत अच्छा वो पानीपत की लड़ाई थी, सोनीपत। Oh my god. पानीपत is in UP ना, if I'm not wrong. सोनीपत थोड़ी, my bad, sorry.
नहीं
Sahil,
नहीं
another reason to
नहीं
unfollow
नहीं
me.
नहीं नहीं।
Sahil, I'll give you 10 reasons to unfollow me. Tonight. Let's see. I'll give you 10 reasons to unfollow me. I
हाँ
gave you 2 reasons already. I give you 2 reasons. Let's see. Let's find out next 8.
दीदी पानीपत भी हरियाणा में।
पानीपत भी हरियाणा में? अरे
हाँ जी।
तीसरा reason. I'm very bad. Third reason. Grandmaster.
वो पानीपत की लड़ाई थी ना भाई, वो हरियाणा वालों की थी भी नहीं। सुना है वाला?
Oh my god. Hi Phenom. Welcome. Yowie howie. Yowie wowie. Yowie wowie. Welcome Phenom. How are you feeling today? Good evening to you Phenom. Venom बोल रही थी मैं इसको। जहर।
वेनम।
जहर आदमी हो। तुम बड़े जहर आदमी।
द वेनम।
Exactly.
अच्छा अब एक बात बताओ, ये बॉल्स कब करनी है?
Let's go. Are you ready?
Yes, think so.
Okay.
I'm feeling poisonous. नहीं, I'm ready.
I'm feeling poisonous. Hey, I'm back. Hi, back.
No. Go to that one. Yes. Ball and line. Do it. Which one is it? Oh, भाई Avengers.
Oh my God. Avengers
गया।
था ना ये?
हाँ।
Oh, that was Avengers.
लास्ट में Avengers ही लगा।
Right? Oh.
Again. I'm here.
Let's
I
go.
really preferred the more relaxing start of this side story.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Why? Do the why, not this one.
What?
Another one. Oh, like this. Yeah, that one.
This
Different one. Yeah.
नहीं, why?
हाँ, अरे नहीं.
The opposite one.
ये this one. नहीं.
This one.
नहीं.
कर तो सही.
नहीं ना.
क्यों नहीं?
Wait, what? भाई मेरे वाले में अलग दिख रहा था यार वो.
Are you tweaking?
नहीं. On my screen it was
let's
looking
go.
different. Unlock.
She had the right one.
Place is lagging.
lagging.
Oh, I see.
Oh my God. Thanks God.
Come on. Punch it.
एक बार के लिए मैं confused हो गई.
हाँ,
No,
मैं
it
कहीं
must be a glitch or something like that. Ooh, what?
This is beautiful, Mio.
Beautiful, Mio.
Some nights I force myself to zoom out.
Oh.
Zoom out.
The bigger the trouble, the bigger the zoom. It helps me see how insignificant some of my worries are.
Huh. Does it work?
It gives me some perspective
Hmm,
and enough room to breathe.
I see.
You do know there is no oxygen in space, though, right?
Now hold on.
Thrusters ignite. Let's go.
Let's go.
बाप रे फ्लैश मार दिया यार.
Ever want to become an astronaut?
Same here.
Isn't that every kid's dream?
Then why didn't you?
Math sucks.
It does suck.
All right, let's continue. We have a dragon realm to save.
Oh, I love flying, man. It's so awesome.
Imagine flying.
Imagine flying.
I can't. I can't. Oh,
Me leaving off to sleep. Good night, guys. Bye bye, Omni. Thank you so much. For
good night,
joining.
Omni. Have a
Sleep
good
well,
rest.
Take good rest.
Thank you for the
Have
strike.
fun. Bye bye.
Oh my god. Bhai sahab. Pull it back, I think.
Oh, oh my.
Oh, up, down, up, down, up, down, I think. No? Or just down?
Yep. I think just down.
अरे नहीं ओला up down up down up down up down.
Did it see us?
Why up down, up down, up down?
अरे करो तो
Why up down?
करो तो
I'm doing it. I'm doing up down, up down.
go up. Oh, we can't go up. Fuck. Okay, go down.
Wait, where were you? I think we are supposed to go down. Oh, अरे उसके मुंह में जाएगा वो.
तभी तो कर रहा था.
मतलब?
No way.
Oh my god, what the fuck did I just say?
Oh.
What the fuck did I just say? Oh my god. What the fuck did I just say?
Oh shit.
We escaped! There should be a cave! Should or will!
Oh, we are controlling them right now.
Yeah, we are controlling.
I didn't know.
Just
अपने
like
आप चल
वो
रहे थे
professor
मिलके.
की zip, from Three Idiots, up, down, up, down. Oh my god.
In one
I
piece.
was reading chat.
Good. We should be safe in here. Let's press on.
Let's
Up,
go.
down, up,
Do you
down,
and
up,
Ella
down.
still hang out like when you were kids?
Not really.
It's like machine.
But I talk to her daily.
Mhm. Oh, not this one.
Oh, what is this?
I don't know.
Oh, I cleared it. I cleared this.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
could be this maybe.
It reacts to
Oh,
acid!
oh, भागो 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 भागो.
Oh my days. मैं खुद ही के दम पे मर गई.
वो जैसे ही as soon as it started shining ना I was like it's gonna burst soon.
Why there are fishes?
Oh, it says press Y. You can eat the fishes.
Oh, am I supposed to eat the fish?
I don't
Are we
know.
supposed to feed them?
I've been feeding him. Have you not?
No.
It's okay. It doesn't matter. I think.
Oh.
Oh. Oh, metal thingy. Your thing.
Oh.
Mm. Oh shit.
It takes me a lot of time to come back. Fly करते करते आने में. Oh wow.
What does that do?
Oh, let's go.
That does something, right? The big steel egg.
Alright, so what's the plan? We're here to reawaken them all from their ancient slumber.
Oh, not my way.
Mama, mommy, what is it?
Jump.
Oh, there we go.
Jump.
Oh, I made a path. You have to go.
Yeah.
What if I close the path?
Uh,
Oh, it
हो गया.
doesn't work. Oh, I have another one. Yeah, go.
Oh, on to the next one
Did you
then.
die?
Oh, yep.
Oh my god.
I didn't know I was supposed to jump. Oh, there's something down there. There's an egg. Do you see the egg?
Yeah.
Next one.
Yeah.
Olex, next one. Oh shit. I fell again. I think we'll have to time it.
Yep.
Ready, set, go. Ah shit. Oh shit. Fell
Oh my
again.
bad.
That's okay.
Venom, I'll hydrate after the game. Wait.
Next one.
Oh no. I did that.
I fell.
Go, 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 go.
Uh,
Go, 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 go. What happens?
Uh,
You watched it.
do the next one. Nice. Good job, good job, good job.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. You can come over here, I
Oh,
think.
I fell. Oh, you're gonna bring me?
Uh-huh. Yes, yes, yes. This way, this way, this way. इधर आओ.
भाई टाइम पे पहुंच गई मैं. What the fuck?
Shoo.
Oh, that's nice.
We're supposed to do, I think, two more. Two more.
Where did you draw inspiration for this, Zoe?
The big
Well,
steel egg, indeed.
I suppose it's an ode to those we
Oh,
lost.
back
Fair
to
enough.
the
Wow,
center.
how the game's going. Games are going amazing. We're just solving puzzles and all. And we're trying to.
Oh damn.
If I reach, yep, I reached. Okay, now I got.
Oh. Do I have to make path for you? Yeah, I'll have to make path for you.
But I'm reaching away already.
No. Look na.
Wait, I'll go there. Yeah, I have to go there. Wait, I can go there.
Yeah.
I'll fly. I can't. Oh, la. पानी पीवानू गेम खेलवानू नहीं it's पानी पीवानू गेम रमवानू અને મજાની life.
I don't think that's yours, by the way.
Yeah.
You're supposed to go up from here. Come back. ये देखो यार तुम्हारे वाला. ये वाला इधर से.
कौन सा?
Yeah, fruit. The fruit. Yeah. Yep. Go there. I'll make platforms for you. That's how you can like cross this.
But I came from here. I flew.
हाँ, but अभी वो देखो ना प्लेटफॉर्म बनाया.
Oh.
फिर तुम्हें नेक्स्ट वाले पे जाना है.
मैं गिर गई.
कोई बात नहीं. Go again.
I fell. उसके प्यार में भी मैं ऐसे ही गिरी थी. और मैं मर चुकी थी. Okay, let's go. Make a platform.
Yeah. Go and jump. प्लेटफॉर्म बाद में बनाना पड़ेगा after you jump. I think.
Yeah, I think so. Now we make it.
Go to next one.
अरे मैं इसमें मर जाऊंगी. Oh my god.
हाँ.
बना. मैं
It's okay. It's okay.
But how will I go forward?
उसके ऊपर से.
Make a platform. I have to jump. Okay, I have to keep jumping. Okay. It's a time.
Can I make like closer platforms?
Wait. I'll go back.
Oh,
How are
अच्छा
the
मैं
games,
पास में
Lord?
बना
Did you
सकता
have
हूँ.
fun playing Valo? How are the games? What is Chad doing? Chad, do you want to play basketball?
When did you start playing basketball, man?
नहीं मैं तो बचपन क्या 7th स्टैंडर्ड में खेलती थी. नो बास्केटबॉल नो थैंक्स. मैं फिर भी गेम शुरू कर रही हूँ तुम लोगों के लिए. Till then you will have. I have this overlay so you can play basketball in that. So I open that thing. मत करो प्यार कहता है गालिब दिल जो टूटेगा फिर संभल नहीं पाएगा है. मत करो प्यार कहता है गालिब, अच्छा कहता है गालिब, sorry.
Uh,
Don't fall in love, Galib. If your heart breaks, you won't be you won't
Wow,
be
wow,
able
wow,
to
wow.
recover. Wow, wow. Lingo,
Wow.
Lingo. Lingo OP in the chat. Lingo OP in the chat. Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Wow, wow, wow,
Crazy
wow.
lingo.
Shabbat.
Crazy. Wow, wow.
How can one bot be so nice and so shit?
Exactly. Crazy, man. Arre. Oh my god, oh my god.
I did it. It's okay. You got this, you got this, you got this. Go, 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 go. Go to the next one.
Arre, I can't fly.
You can't? What do you mean?
Wait, I'll try again. Has Sahil gone? Let's go, Gore.
Ready? Arre, fuck.
No.
I fucked this one up. My bad.
It's alright. Don't be sorry. Come on. It's completely okay. I have to. Oh my days. Okay, let's go back.
3, 2, 1, go. Jump.
I can't jump. That's the problem. I'm not able to jump and.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I missed it.
It's okay, it's okay.
This section looks hard.
It is
I
hard.
don't think so, God. I think it's just a timing thing. We just have to set it.
Mhm.
एक तो बहुत दिनों बाद आया ना हम लोग को भी set नहीं हो रहा है. थोड़ा
Okay,
time
you
लगेगा.
jump, I'll do it. 3, 2, 1, jump.
I.
3, 2, 1, jump.
Oh my face. Oh my days.
You got this, you got
I
this.
jumped on a video. नहीं possible नहीं था.
3,
I'll
2,
jump again.
1, jump. Next one. Go, 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 go. Let's go.
Oh, let's go.
Nice. Good job, good job, good job. Now you have to
go,
do
good
something. I don't know what.
job.
Break the
Have to
chains, I think.
Break the chains, yeah. Now you can jump.
Breaker of chains,
Let's
mother of
go.
dragons.
Nice. So GG, thank you guys.
Hey, Olex.
Hanji?
Breaker of chains, mother of dragon. Eh? Top gamer,
Your spirit still
indeed.
lingers. Cool. Let's free that bad.
Now
Uh,
God is just trying to tease me now. He's teasing me.
Which one is it? I think this is the last one. We haven't done this
खाने
one,
की
right?
मजे थे जब हम थे बच्चे अब तो हम सिर्फ मैक्रोज में हैं फंसे My God. भाई कहाँ से निकालते हो तुम अपनी शायरियाँ हाँ तुम शायर हो क्या You know when we
Oh,
were
fuck.
having fun now we are trapped in macros Oh I did it I did some bullshit
Oh, nice. करते रहो bullshit करते रहो मैं फेंक रहा हूँ बॉल
I don't know I did that already
अरे वो बॉल रह गई ना
Oh Love you, send it. Do you make Excel macros? Why does it show a
अरे
gate to
you
me?
have
Wait,
you
I'm
have to
supposed
come back I
back.
think you have to come back
Yeah, I'm supposed to come back. गिर गया मैं गिर गया वो भी मेरी नजरों से ऐसे ही गिर गया था
Oh my god भाई रे
मैं शायर तो नहीं मगर ए हंसी मैं शायर तो नहीं
मैं नहीं गाऊंगा यार नहीं तो तुम रो दोगे यार क्या ही बताओ अरे नहीं नहीं भागो
अरे इसकी माँ की Olex, are you okay though?
आ जाओ इधर आओ.
अरे
नहीं.
इसकी
She's
माँ
she's gonna
वापस.
she's gonna go again. Spit in the dragon's mouth. Over there. Over there. Yes. First, the one in front, and then the one on the left.
I know.
Okay. Leave this one and go for the next one.
Which one?
Next one. Next one.
I was
There's two, right?
Whose mom now translated into English? Oh my god. Why are you guys making lingo abuse?
Lingo. Go, 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 go. Next one, next one, next one, next one. Nice. Oh shit, I fucked up.
We did it. Oh no.
Nope, I fucked up. I kicked the ball like literally off the game. Okay, ready.
Why are you kicking balls?
It's fun, man. You should try.
I mean, I got
Highly
balls,
recommended.
but I'm not gonna kick the balls.
Oh shit, no!
What kind of
Fuck.
balls do you
Fuck.
kick? बस वो भी यही कहा करता था.
क्या हुआ?
I go what the I'll shut up. I'll shut up.
कुछ हुआ क्या?
It's okay. Ola has been abusing my sanity for a couple of days now. And ain't it painful, buddy? Ola, stop.
Oh भाई. अरे हेलो, ये क्या स्निप स्निप क्या है?
My God. That's crazy, man.
भाई मुझे वो बॉल्स वाला अगर इंस्टा पे मिला ना.
क्यों?
Let's go, let's go. Go for the next one. Go for the next one. It's done. Oh, nice. Shit. Okay, it's stuck.
Oh no.
Keep doing it. Keep doing it. I can't go there.
Can I? Can I? Oh no, I blasted it. What the fuck? Oh my days. Never mind.
Oh, wait,
God,
wait,
don't
wait.
judge me.
Relax,
God, don't
relax,
judge
relax.
me. Anji.
यहाँ पे वहीं पे खड़े हो जहाँ से तुम आए. यहाँ बीच में नहीं हो. इधर आओ,
I
इधर
have
आओ,
to
इधर.
open the park now.
But you can stand over here ना. यहाँ पे stand. यहाँ पे खड़े हो जाओ. So that you don't come in between the part.
Okay. But now you're late. Oh
It's
yeah,
okay.
I can do it from here. What the fuck? Never mind. Yeah. How
Chal.
stupid I was. Go 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 go. Oh,
अरे वो
why
करूँ
is it
क्या?
not happening? It's not happening from here. It's not
Is it
happening
not?
from this direction. No.
Damn.
I don't know.
I guess get on the platform then. When you
Wait,
get up.
do.
Go 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 go. Shit.
Oh, I can't. I couldn't. That's what she said. Menu ki pata. Is it male? Jesus Christ, क्या हो गया? How many balls does that dragon have? अरे? Ah yes, I know that was in.
As many as you can fit in your mouth. Who asked that? उसके लिए था वो वाला. Sorry, my bad. अबे खुद ही क्लिप कर लिया भाई. Oh my god, you clipped it yourself, man.
Of
My
course,
bad.
I didn't say that. You said that. Oh my god, that timing, man, bro.
I
come on.
fucked up. Please, seriously.
Bro,
Uh,
Bro.
It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke.
मैं गिर गया.
ऐसे.
तेरे पास खुल के गया मैं.
I'm laughing so hard. I can't breathe.
Blaze, seriously, what the fuck? I'm laughing so hard I can't breathe.
Timing तो है भाई.
Chato. Damn, that's crazy, man. It's already 12:21.
It is. It is. It is.
Let's go.
A bit up, I
Wait,
think.
wait. Why is that not opening?
Nice. Go, 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 go. For the next one. Come on this one. Come on the platform.
Oh, it did that. Oh, nice. Aja.
Nice, nice, nice. Oh, भाई नीचे नहीं. भाई. Oh, nice. अब इसको जला दे भाई.
If you can't breathe, just breathe. Shubhratri Mitro, have a ballistic. Oh my god, what the fuck, Venom. Thank you for the good wishes.
Good night, Venom.
No. Thank you so much for coming, Venom. Bye bye. Sleep well. Have a
Let's go, let's go, let's go. Next one, next one, next one. Oh shit, it's gonna go. Ah fuck. Oh, it's gonna go. I don't have a ball. Give me a sec.
I came to the wrong platform. मैंने ही वाट लगा पूरी गेम की.
Cover. अरे हेलो ये कहाँ? Where did you spawn?
रुक ना एक मिनट. 1 minute.
Oh, let's read the next spawn point. Yes. Wait, can I throw this from here? What if I do this?
क्या हो गया? Oh lol, Olax reached the next spawn point. अरे did I? Wait, my थोड़ा सा internet is tweaking now. एक minute.
चलेगा. What if I do this? Can I make it go there? Oh shit me!
Wait. I'm supposed to come back, right?
Yep.
Am I not? Yeah, I'm supposed to come back.
Balloon पे jump करके you can fly.
I don't know where to go.
Slow
I don't know the
inhale
right
and
direction.
slow exit.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
Done. Okay, ready? Go. Shit.
Never mind, I fell down. I fell
Oh
down.
no. अबे चल जा. नहीं गया.
Oh my god. Never mind. Oh my days, I was doing like back to back. That was crazy, man.
एक और बार ऐसे crazy. I'm back to normal. Let's go. Yes. जल्दी.
आजा. Next part is open now.
हाँ. चलो.
Where's the next one?
अरे इधर.
Where's the next one?
Oh,
Oh my days. Did I mess up? I messed up. I
yeah.
didn't know that
It's okay. It's okay.
The previous one. Aja, was it the previous one?
Let's go. Okay, Vada. Let's go for the next one. Nice.
Nice. But I got stuck. I can die, but you can't.
Oh shit.
Oh, let's go.
Only.
Oh my deck.
अबे यार
भाई पहुंचाने के बाद उसको गिरा भी कौन है?
मैं
क्रेजी क्रेजी फीलिंग इतना क्रेजी नहीं था। आ जाए ठीक है।
हाय चलो 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 उड़ा दो नहीं अब उड़ाओ मेक इट रिएक्टिव अरे आराम से उसको रिएक्टिव करो ना
रेडियो एक्टिव। अरे निशाना नहीं लग रहा। वेट 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 दूर हट दूर हट दूर हट।
नॉइस भागो 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 लास्ट वन
Let's go. Oh my days.
दिस इज द लास्ट वन राइट
I hope so.
यस आई थिंक सो
Are
Let's
we
go.
still on level 4? It's so long, yaar. You know?
हाँ ना भाई मेरे को लगा था पहली बार मेरे वाला उड़ के जाएगा ऐसा आलसी ड्रैगन है क्या मैं नहीं उड़ रहा हमको नहीं आता उड़ना उड़ा ओह
Nice.
So,
What now?
if we continue to disobey Raider, what do you think he'll throw at us next?
Who knows? But he doesn't strike me as the type who takes no for an answer. Whoa, check it out, Mio. Another side story's up ahead.
oh side story where over there let's go
What the
Looks-
fuck? Hey, it's a Candyland. Oh my god, it's a Candyland.
do you want to do this right now or do you want to stop for tonight
Shall we try doing a side story? If you don't mind.
चल चलेगा चलेगा इधर से वो है
एक साइड स्टोरी करके खत्म कर देते हैं।
चलेगा
Yeah. Boss fight कल होगी ना फिर then.
हम्म,
जब भी
हम्म।
next करेंगे। Do it,
I-
let's go. Okay.
Any idea of
God,
what's
sure.
in this one?
I hope you're not tired.
No clue.
I'm not
Volume
okay.
बहुत ज़्यादा।
I'm okay.
Game. एक मिनट।
Hmm. Guys, one more for 340 भाई प्लीज एक और एक चुटकी फॉलो की कीमत तुम क्या जानो चैट बाबू स्ट्रीमर के सर का ताज होता है एक चुटकी फॉलोअर
You'll get it, don't worry.
भाई साहब अरे नहीं आई एम एक्चुअली हैप्पी यार
Lizard, 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 lizard,
Nice,
lizard,
nice.
lizard, 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 lizard.
Thank you for the stretch.
Oh my god, sorry. Sorry. Are we ready?
No, all good. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Sathi. Welcome to the stream.
Hello, Sathi.
Drink
Welcome in.
water. Become.
I'm
Oh.
officially
Oh
done
my
being
god.
surprised. I have no memory of creating this.
Are we teeth?
Awesome.
Are we teeth?
Oh
Teeth
yeah,
with-
we are teeth.
Teeth with toothpaste on top, I think.
You know,
Yeah, it's
nice
a Colgate,
to see a
man.
sweeter side of you that's not all existential dread and
Why can't-
explosions. Yeah, something's off.
Huh. Hydrate. Yeah, give me a
God.
sec.
Oh, it's so,
I'll
so
hydrate.
cozy. Hey, can you find me? Cheating किए बगैर.
कैसे? Half the
Legit
screen is
Pepsodent
yours.
versus Colgate. Olax की DVD नहीं है. अरे जाना है यार God Complex. Sathi, how are you feeling today? Good evening. How have you been?
How do I even find you? I don't think. Wait, give me a second.
You're over here, na? Mata tha, pata tha. Oh,
Oh.
this is so crazy. This is so cute. This is so
Oh.
cute, yaar.
Oh, extra dash. Wait, what?
Where are we supposed to go?
No idea. I have
This is a very
literally no
depressing
idea.
story, I think so. You know?
Hmm? Could be. Maybe.
It's gonna be fun, like before ending our stream.
Oh, ground pound. Oh,
I got VIP. How? Sathi, you forgot how you got VIP?
acha kal wala roulette. Let's go.
Yeah, when I was playing a day before yesterday. So wait, Sathi, you never came yesterday?
Candy cane, candy cane. Jump and press X. Over here, over here.
Oh my god. I fell.
It's okay. Hi, spin the wheel. Yes. मैं बच गया था मैं सही टाइम पे निकल गया था
What is this?
this way jump
Oh, I can't. This is literally like that pig thingy now.
go close to the platform.
Wait.
L
shift dash bol raha hu.
So jump and shift. Jump and shift.
I'm doing jump and shift. What the fuck? Bhai,
Space
pura
is jump,
raat
right?
nikal jayegi yahan pe is pe. Yeah, space is jump.
We had fun and listened to music, but now I gotta go now. But I'll be here next stream. Bye for now, my friend. Good night, Ghost Viking. Thank you for hopping in. Really appreciate you, man. Take care. Good night. Bye bye.
Take care. Good night. Sleep well. Kaise ho Blaze bhaiya? I didn't want to spin the wheel. Maybe
I'm
I won
good,
later.
Sathi.
You promised
आप
me
बताओ
I'll get
कैसे हो?
VIP if I win. I mean, I don't know, Sathi. Whatever it is, you got a VIP.
I've been good. I've been good.
Sathi. I swear game का बंद कर देना चाहिए था.
It's okay. You got this. Go close to
How
it.
to jump.
Like a close up. Go close to it.
Oh, I did it.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Thanks.
Ground
Ground
pound.
pound? What is this? Ground pound?
Jump and ground pound. Oh, साथ में. 3. Never mind.
Oh, nice.
Yes! Now I remember.
Mio.
Oh, Mio.
About your fifth
Sure.
birthday
Oh, it's
party.
my
Fifth
story.
birthday.
And it's the first story I ever wrote.
This place looks like my fever dream.
Understood the mission there.
Just a minute. I have to stop the music. Wait. I have to stop the music. The background music chal raha hai, sorry. I mean my Amazon music. This music is really cool. Good night, friends. Friendship will never break. Let's go.
Good night, Ghost Viking. Rest well, man. Oh shit! Damn. Fuck.
God,
Waffles
God,
break.
Isn't it your God loves sweets, okay? He loves sweets.
By the way, waffles break down.
Oh.
Oh, I went into the chocolate.
I can dip into chocolate. It's like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, bro.
Shit.
Oh, they are breaking now. Oh my god, this is difficult, man.
It is.
Absolutely.
But can I keep going? Oh.
God, why do you make us feel jealous every time?
I had a strawberry sundae. If that does anything.
Makes me hate you, of course. Why not?
I had mango delight today. After this, I'm gonna have a Magnum.
Strawberry sando. Who had strawberry sando?
Not sando. I said strawberry sundae.
Sunday, yeah. I was like, wow, why life? Everyone is having some fancy things, man. Yeah, I want to have sando, yaar. I've never tried sando.
It's okay,
I want to try sando. It's very trending.
What's
Japanese
a
sando? Japanese bread, which
Mm-hmm.
is fried and then it is slit in between, and then they add some nice flavorful cream inside, comes in variety of flavors like strawberry, mango, matcha, then creme brulee. That thing. I had it once. You had it once? Really? I got matcha sandwich. Sathi lives in Hyderabad. Yeah, she's having a. Sorry.
Oh shit. The bread is so fluffy. I know.
Yeah, the bread is fluffy and high in calories, by the way.
I think I'm
Bhai,
stuck.
listen now, bhai. Bhai, कहाँ है तू? तू पार कर दिया वापस?
हाँ. I'm at the next part. Coming back. Going back.
God complex.
Oh shit.
इसने
Can't go back.
जापान में खाया मैं भूल गई जापान गया है गॉड कॉम्प्लेक्स मैं भूल गई थी जापान में खा के आया तभी
shit.
जापानीज सैंडो
Oh shit.
सैंडो खाया है
Let's go.
भाई, ये आज रात तो नहीं खत्म होएगा मेरे से भाई सी ओलैक्स मेरा मजाक उड़ाना मतलब गेम में मौत
श्राप दे दिया भाई सीधा ही.
नहीं ना यार
Okay, jump first, then dash. मैं यहाँ घूम रहा हूँ.
भाई ये स्विस रोल खा रहा है बैठ के
खा रहा हूँ. जंपिंग कर रहा हूँ उस पे. जंपिंग जापान.
Hey Melo, welcome to the stream. How are you? Olax, you can 100% do it. I have no doubt about it. You just underestimated me, God Complex. Oh, finally. Oh, cupcakes.
By the way, that's not a checkpoint, so careful.
I know. Ah. I have to restart that bullshit. अबे क्या कर रहा है?
I don't know.
I never underestimated.
You're pressing
I
mouse
don't need
button. Nice. Good job. Let's go checkpoint.
This does look like a kid's sugar rush fever dream. I was 5. What can
Fever
you
dream?
expect? You nailed
Just
the
now God
hairstyle,
said
though.
that.
Hmm.
अरे इसकी माँ.
Oh shit.
Sathi, how was your day? Sathi, how was your day? A kid's sugar rush to fever dream.
Hmm.
Game is also making fun of me. Relax, Terra. Keep up. Welcoming. Keep
Hello.
up.
Hi, Soul Reaper. Welcome
Hello,
back.
hello.
How are you? How was your day? क्या
We have
हाल?
variety of people in the chat. One who speaks Kannada, one who speaks Tamil, one who speaks Telugu.
Uh-huh.
Chat, show some love to OG Soul Reaper. Wanted to thank Unknown for the gifted. Aww. I'll tell him you said thank you.
You got this, you got this.
Soul Reaper is in the chat. Soul Reaper is in the chat. He's such
You
a
got
nice
this.
gamer and I over here even jump properly.
You got this, you got this, you got this.
Hi, Zach. Welcome to the stream. I don't play games. I'm not a gamer. Oh, really, Keeper? Oh, really?
Hmm.
He is like a Hollow Knight pro player. Hello, sis. Hi, Zach. Welcome to the stream. How are you feeling? Vanakkam Sapadia. Huh? Hey, Vanakkam is Tamil, right? Vanakkam is Tamil.
No idea.
Lingo absolutely doesn't know Tamil. Not one bit. Ah! That thing spanked me.
हाँ मेरे को भी किया था. Don't worry. But मेरे को पिंक वाले ने किया.
Sapada. Hi,
Sapada?
Saptachu, right?
Huh? Sapra?
Vanakkam, Saptachuni. Oh, they're speaking Tamil, Telugu, and Kannada. I don't know Kannada, but Tamil for sure. And I think Sapadia means did you eat? Oh, Sapadia. Ha, Sapadia. I ate. Are iski. None of the others. No, this is just Tamil. Sathi, ella unaru. Olax is murdering the pronunciation. Anyone wanna correct? What?
Let's go. Oh, she's doing it. I'm gonna go as well. Never mind. I didn't do it.
Oh my god.
Hi, Sakev. How are you? मेरी नजर नहीं थी भाई, मेरी नजर नहीं लगी.
Chat, that's how I play. Olax
कोई
is
नहीं.
murdering she's crying.
आ जाओ साथ में करेंगे. Let's go. Jump dash. Yes, nice. Jump dash. Nice. Good job. Jump dash.
What the fuck I'm doing right now? Chat. Kill myself.
Oh shit.
I wanna kill myself.
You got this. I trust you. भाई मैं चुप हो जाऊँ क्या? Nice.
भाई गलती से दबा दिया. Toothpaste, अरे it's a teeth. I am Colgate, he's Pepsodent.
Yes, I am Indian as well, man. Friend. Hi.
I'm Colgate and Blaze is Dabur Babool.
Oh, hello. और कुछ नहीं मिला.
This music reminds me of those old Game Boy or Sega games. What is Sega?
I could have.
Also Indian, right?
Yeah. I could have been Pepsodent.
Blaze is from Dubai.
I could have been Pepsodent, but no, Dabur Bubble. Eh?
Dabur Babu.
Oh shit. No. Fuck. Let's go.
I reached. Fine.
Balaho.
Terrable is looking more like Patanjali though. Patanjali भी मेरे दिमाग में आया था. Oh, let's go.
What now? Oh, nice.
Our mission,
Or
Zoe,
jumping.
light the birthday cake candles.
Oh, Fall Guys.
To make
Fall
a
Guys.
dream come
Mhm.
true. I don't
this is
recall
Fall Guys.
the ending, but
Uh-huh.
probably something silly like that.
Oh my days.
Oh shit. I fell down.
This is Fall Guys, chat. This is Fall Guys. I've played Fall Guys before. This is Fall Guys.
Oh shit.
Ella Unaru
वाह.
दीदी. Ella Unaru का reply नहीं मालूम. मुझे सिर्फ Ella Unaru मालूम है. साथी.
मेरे को वो भी नहीं मालूम है.
Ella Unaru means are you good? How are you? That kind. Mas Unavu means I am doing hella good.
Ash.
Oh, Mas.
Oh shit. Damn. Did it?
मस्त ना वो सच.
Oh.
Olax Sathi told you the reply also. Oh, I just saw. My
Ah.
bad. Sorry.
अब मैं ओलैक्स को देख रहा हूँ.
अबे जा रे.
मैं तो चला गया ना. वही तो कह रहा हूँ. मैं तो चला गया. तुम आओ.
Oh my God. Who did that? Who did that? God complex. Are you fucking crazy? Are you? Oh my God.
क्या हुआ?
Why did you do that to me? Oh my God. He redeemed. He redeemed. Oh my
क्या
God. He
redeemed?
redeemed माँ का भरोसा आग. Oh my God.
माँ का भरोसा आग. भाग.
माँ का भरोसा. Oh. Oh my God. Hi. Oh, hi, Dirty Smash. Welcome back with the 5 streak. Arey bhai. Sack. So sorry. That was crazy. God, I hate you.
I'm not gonna lie. इसका म्यूजिक भी फॉल गाइस जैसा है थोड़ा सा.
Thoda. That makes 2 of us. No God. Nah. God, you're a lovely person, man. I love you, man. My tea.
Oh shit.
अरे इसकी माँ की.
हाँ.
I hate them. Is that balls gems? Why are we making ball jokes again?
Can you buy me a Lamborghini?
Who?
I'm assuming that's for me. क्योंकि you said I'm from Dubai, maybe.
Oh
नहीं?
my God.
हबीबी आओ हम तुमको हवा की सैर कराएगी.
Oh God, I need to breathe. By the way, Habibi, can you buy me a Lamborghini?
Na.
No, Sathi was asking question. Sathi was asking question. Is that balls gems? Arc?
Who's the Habibi Hair Place? Yes, most probably.
Habibi, can I come
Yes,
to
sir,
Dubai?
Mr. Me
Habibi,
going
come
sleep.
to
Have a great rest of the
Dubai.
stream. Okay, Maxi,
Who is
have a
the
good rest.
Habibi here?
Take care, man.
Who is the Habibi here,
Good night.
please?
I think so.
By the way, God knows Arabic.
But
By
मेरे को
God,
तो नहीं आता ना.
God is
I
a
don't know.
sheikh from Dubai. God is a sheikh from Dubai. If you don't know, if you guys don't know, God is a sheikh from Dubai. God can't speak it. But you are a sheikh, na? From Dubai ka sheikh hai. Mehraba. I know a little Arabic too. I know Shukran.
अरे you made it.
हाँ मैं तो कब की आ गई, but आगे किसे जाना है वो नहीं पता. Oh, I did it.
यार मैं आइसक्रीम लाने जा रहा था यार.
कहाँ?
मेरे को लगा अभी टाइम लगेगा तुम्हें. आ जाओ. Next
I can
one.
destroy these balls. Oh yeah.
Next yellow one.
I can't jump. How to jump? I forgot.
Mouse button.
Arey.
Space है.
Oh. Arey. Or a Ferrari, not the new one, or a McLaren, or even an Aston. Send me a Lambo.
I can get you a camel. That's the best I can do.
I can get you a camel. Wow. Quite traditional. I have to time it, my bad. I have to time it.
Relax.
हाँ जी.
Stand on it. Just one mouse button. और फिर छोड़ दो, सब कुछ छोड़ दो.
Oh, wait.
Hi. नहीं, just one mouse click. उस पे खड़े होके येलो पे.
पहले मर
It's
जाने
okay.
दो. हाँ जी.
कोई नहीं
I will alt F for myself before seeing that piece of absolute dog shit. अच्छा क्या dog shit camel को dog shit ही बोल दिया तुमने. Oh my god, I had to do this. What the fuck?
वही तो बोला. Ready, set, go. Oi.
Let's go.
What's up, El Pop?
What's up? Baba baba za 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 baba 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 baba. What the fuck is this game, boy?
Hold my little hand. What happened?
Oh, we're gonna.
Oh, Ferrari lose. Lingo, I said had dinner. Not what you said. Sathi's gonna crash out tonight,
saying
boy.
this,
Oh
but
shit.
let's climb a cake. Yeah, get those candles lit. See you at the top.
Oh, never mind.
भाई it's literally Fall Guys यार.
Feels like a Fall Guys, man. उसने Fall Guys
Surely
को
all
copy
these
मारा है.
sweets must
है
have
ना?
caught up with you. Now that you mention it, I got a toothache once and... You know what? Never mind.
अरे इसकी. You will not come out of it the same person. Sathi, take it from someone who has experience. Do not engage with lingo. That's true. Lingo just test your patience. अरे
मैं आया 2 मिनट में, ठीक है?
हाँ. What the fuck भाई, क्या insult है भाई? मैं आया तो complete करके रख. भाई crazy insult. भाई यहाँ पे mental support चाहिए, emotional support चाहिए, बंदा छोड़ के चला जाए. जा जा.
आइसक्रीम लेके आया यार मैं. ये इतनी सारी चीजें देख के मेरा खाने का मन कर गया. बट पहले पी ब्रेक.
अरे इसकी. I'm loving this music, chat. I'm loving this music. This music is crazy good. Valid crash out though. किसको crash out हो गया? साथी को? तो जाना कहाँ है भाई? जाना कहाँ है? I'm not getting. भाई this is a crazy good thing. भाई वहाँ पे वो देखो यार. Rare rabbit का rabbit है वहाँ पे. तोरे इतनी अरज तो सच
What happened, guys? Olax left. Hello. क्या हुआ? Don't tell me she gave up. Hi, Aloha. Welcome, man. Thank you
Drink
for the hydrate.
water. Become.
Can I have ice cream instead of water? How are you? Welcome in. Water. Okay. Look what I got. Look what I got. Been looking. How's you? I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
God, sorry, I deafened and I couldn't hear you. My bad. I'm so sorry. I'm so
It's
sorry,
o-
please. I'm so
It's
sorry.
okay. It's okay. It's,
Yeah.
if it's not yogurt, I don't want it.
What's that?
It's better.
I love games but not a great yapper, sadly. Arey, we yap a lot, Vixen. We yap a lot. More than playing, we yap. Like, we take breaks and we
It's
yap and we laugh at
it's
weird
Sunday.
jokes we make.
Yes. Strawberry Sunday. I got it.
I leave
Did
that
it?
to you and Zenix, and you guys are better at that. Wait, Zenix? Zenix is a
Mhm.
yapper as well. I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen Zenix just chatting. I've never I never got a chance to be on his streams. Like, I can sit and watch him.
It is indeed
It's
Sunday.
like either he stream. It's either like
Okay. Okay,
Zenix
buddy.
streams too late,
But
and then I
it
get
is
tired.
actually so good. I got the whole like bucket of this. Like the ice cream tubs you get. I am laughing. What do you mean? No, like the tubs you get for ice cream, no? I got the whole tub strawberry magic sundae.
By the way, we lost connection in Split Fiction. So what to do? Let's stop or
We can stop, up to you. Do you
we
think
can stop then.
do you think you want to
It's
complete
1
it right
o'clock.
now?
I don't think it will be finished by now. It's 1 o'clock now. It's way too late. I mean,
Blaze
at least
is
we did halfway. Fun. Blaze is doing this on purpose. As
I
in,
am. It says it's my
like what?
18
Making
month
us
mod
jealous.
anniversary. Yes, it is.
Wow, 18.
Where's
Yeah,
my
huh?
celebratory cake?
It says it's my 18 mod anniversary.
My
Oh, wait,
mod
Aloha
has
is a
been
mod. I just noticed. My bad.
yeah, my mod has been away for 3 months
Welcome back, Aloha.
from my
I've
stream.
seen his name before.
Her.
We have a discussion.
Her. Aloha is a her.
Oh, hi,
See?
Aloha.
See? Not just me, Aloha, not just me. I come
I
here
come
from
here
time to
from time to time. I'm a man, for real, for real. Wait, is it a
I
man or a woman?
I met Aloha I think 2.5 years ago, and I thought she was a guy. And I found out after like I think 3 or 4 weeks after that yeah, she's a girl. Yeah.
Sati, welcome
She's a lady.
back.
Fuck your face. Still not forgiven.
I think I am pretty much done with today's.
चलेगा कोई दिक्कत नहीं.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna play for a bit more. I might do something else. But yeah, we can stop.
No issues.
Eat your Sunday fast.
Yeah,
You want a
never
brain
mind.
freeze? No. I don't want a brain freeze.
Chat for 5 to 10 minutes more. Then
चलेगा
I'll read out to someone.
चलेगा. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna hop off now.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Thank
you
so
for the
much
games.
for the games. Bye. Chat, if you haven't followed Terra Blaze, show some love to this guy.
And
Amazing
people
streamer,
from my
amazing
chat,
person.
go follow Olax TTV. Professional
Olax in
yapper,
chat. Bye,
professional
Aloha.
streamer. Let's go.
Such a liar. Chalo then. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Take care, man.
Take care. Enjoy. Have fun.
Thank you. Good night. Good night.
Good night. Is my cam on? Yeah, my cam is on. Chat. Chat. Aha,
Still
you
there.
have my undivided attention.
Still here. VC.
Oh, sorry. I forgot to. Yeah, VC.
Okay.
Wait, I'll leave the VC. Chalo, bye-bye. Thank you
Bye
for the
bye.
coins. See ya.
Okay, Blaze, what the hell are you watching now? Share chat gone. Yeah, I removed share chat before anything else. How you been, Aloha? It's been so long. SMH. I might play High on Life for a bit, unless I'm stressing and procrastinating. For what? On what? What is it you gotta do that you're procrastinating on? High on Life is nice. I tried it yesterday, but people said they were getting bored and want to play something else. So I had to hop on CS2. Entrance exam on this Saturday. For what? Entrance exam for? It's okay if you don't want to say it, but yeah. Becoming Master Uruguay. Masters? Oh. Wait, what's your bachelor's in? I think I never asked you this, right? We never had a chance to basically talk about our studies. I don't want to say it. Okay. Okay. Up to you. English language? Oh, I see. Mm-hmm. Nice. Wait, Love also has like her degrees in English, right? Because she's a teacher, I think. How about you? How about me? My what? My what? How about me? What? You want to know what my degrees are? I am learning right now. I'm learning VFX and video editing. Because that's what I want to get into. But before that, I have done my master's. I've done my master's in computer applications. It's currently 21 degrees. Damn. What's the temperature over here? Hi, Akaru. Welcome in. How are you? Rikaru. Why you no sleep? I just finished a collab. Can I time him out? Nah, it's okay. I only have 3 viewers, so if you time him out, I'm gonna be left with 2. So please don't. Power abuse. W collab, by the way. Thank you. It was fun. I think we had a 2-month break in between. Stuff kept happening with me and her, so we were both busy to like continue the game. Akaru, look. Oh my god, my light. Wait, I can turn this on now. Power abuse. Ice cream? Yes. That's his load. Oh. Yep. Thick and creamy. He really like eating cream. I do like it. No, 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 no. Ew. Oh, that's ew. Stop. Not eating his children. No. I think I did find a new game as well that I want to try with everyone else. It's called Chivalry 2. I did the tutorials. It's actually really fun. You play as like medieval characters and you battle it out in like multiplayer. You literally get like weapons and you battle it out. Try Abyssus if you can. What's it about? Let me see. ABYSS Abyss. Us. This one. Buy me the game. I'll play it if you buy me the game. I can't spend money. If I had this much money, I would have bought Subnautica 2. If I had this much money, man, I would have bought Subnautica 2 because I've seen like many people playing it right now. I think Coffee was playing it, Nezu was playing it, Kawa was playing it. Who else did I see? Another friend, Poki, was playing it. Wait. All of the lady friends were playing it. None of the guys I've seen play it. Subnautica costs 2x the price of Abyssus. No, for me it's like it's 1.5x. Love won this game, and who's this? Whose balls? It can be Jay. Whose balls? Okay, I have no idea who this is. But Warframe 744 hours, damn. Tomorrow, I think I'll be playing Forza with some friends. So, behind you? Nothing? There's nothing. I haven't fixed my bed yet again. The bed is still a mess. I mean, it's not a mess. It's just the blanket, I've not folded it. I never fold it. Never ever. Why do seagulls fly over the ocean? Because if they flew over the bay, we'd call them beagles. Okay. Wait. Seribot can do dad jokes? How did the hipster burn the roof of his mouth? He ate the pizza before it was cool. I don't understand that one. Play songs. Yeah, wait. Songify, I think, was not working today. Is it working? I'm live on Twitch. What does it mean? Songify not work. Oh, okay, the song requests don't work that way. You'll have to use channel points. Now let me check if they added it. There is no duck song. What did the beach say to his friend? Nothing, they just waves. Okay, that was a good one. I would give you that one. That's a good one. Also, there was another game I found yesterday. I think I told Akaru about it. It's called what's it called? Crash Out Crew. This one. You guys might have seen it on Steam as well. It's a 4-player game. Did you see what I did there? Yeah. I played the demo. Is it fun? I want to try it, man. I want to try with more people. It's on sale, 20% off. I have it on Steam. Like, I have it in my cart. I might buy it if I like the game. I'll try it on Xbox first, though. I'm waiting for other people to buy the game so I can try it on Xbox, and then if it's not fun, I don't have to buy it on Steam. Me too broke to get any game right now. Same here, man. Same here. I had to buy a new mouse. I bought the same one, this one, just in white color. I need food. I thought you needed gasoline, but okay. Get some food. I thought she worked on gasoline, man. Time to steal your food. I can't get. Why? Wait, what time is it for you, Aloha? What time is it for you? Player voice, join the conversation. What is this? This is the first time I've seen this. What is player voice? This is a new place to share your feedback. We're making it easier to share input and see how it's being handled. Oh, it's a feedback hub. Oh, OLX ended? Okay. One more to 3:40. It's almost 4 a.m. Did you wake up or did you not sleep at all? Did you wake up early? You woke up? Oh, I see. Imagine sleeping. Yeah, I imagine sleeping. I woke up at 1 p.m. today. So, need to sleep soon. Just wait. Oh. Wait, you just woke up now. Why are you sleeping again? I think after stream, I'll be studying for a bit. And then I might be doing some edits, maybe. If I can stay on the chair for long. If not, I'll just lay down, read some manga. Are you gonna get Crash Out Crew? I already have the game. I got it. I'm totally not playing Mortal Kombat this out. Oh my god. Is it crossplay? Wait, is it not? If it is not crossplay, I'll buy it on cross-platform. Xbox cross-platform. Wait, no. If it's not crossplay, I'll get it on Steam as well. It's okay. On Steam, I think it's going for $2 right now for me. Okay, I've seen something that might take like. Okay, we need to react to this. Give me a sec. I'm stopping the music. We need to react to this. I want to react to this. Give me a sec. Song request, come on. Where's the music tab? Music tab, go off. And goals, where are the goals? Goals remove. Yes. Watch on YouTube. Let's see. Hopefully you guys can hear it. Do tell me if you can't. You can hear it, right? You heard that? We are reacting to COD Modern Warfare 4 reveal trailer. You guys ready? I have played the first two. I haven't played the third one. I do have it, but soon I'm gonna be playing all three like at the same time. So let's see. Like one after the other, not at the same time. Let's start.
10 mics, and your asses better be in formation north of the stadium. Orders are anytime, any place. Sergeant J, keep your scouts in line.
J. Okay.
Can we make a pit stop at the Komatu?
The new guy's low on rations. Take it fast, guys.
Who's that? A K-pop star?
The new supreme leader of North Korea.
No shit. I mean, that dude
Wait,
looks
what?
younger than I am.
Okay, the new one's set up in South Korea, I think. I'm getting a feeling it's in South Korea. I'm getting goosebumps, man, just from watching this. Going dark. Ooh. 4 days earlier. Okay.
You're still a wanted man.
Price. Oh damn.
What did you do?
What I had to.
We make our own rules of engagement now. You are moving a weapon of war. The kind we deny exists.
You do what you need to. Because you know I will.
Price. Price indeed. It is Captain Price. And he's a villain, I think. Wait, what?
We are not ready. We could all die tonight. We don't even get a choice.
You broke a lot of rules, Price. No more rules.
Ghost versus Price. Oh my god. Oh my god. Ghost versus Price. Holy shit. Holy shit, man. Yeah. 4. Modern Warfare 4. And it's already on pre-order. Wait, let me check the price. Store page. I'm buying it. As soon as I got the money, I'm buying it. Next month, add to cart. We are doing it. Modern Warfare 4 Vault Edition, let's go. Oh my god. I'm still shivering. Oh. Bro, Captain Price versus Ghost looks fun. Have you seen the earlier stories, Aloha? Like the first 3 Modern Warfares? Like just this scene. No, I like COD. Never played it, but like it. Nice. reviewed this game. Yes, I did. Oh, I got shivers, man. I got shivers just from the tutorial or the trailer. I want to play the first three now. I want to play the first three games now. I got Modern Warfare 2 on Steam. 1 and 3 I'll have to play through Xbox Game Pass. I wish they had like Black Ops 7 as well on Game Pass, but apparently they don't yet, at least. I'm gonna lie down now, Blase. Good night. Good night, Loa. Take care. Thank you for hopping in. Appreciate it. Bye bye. Good night. Beast of Reincarnation. Coming to Game Pass, okay. I'm in love with the... No. Let's see. Stone Machina. Okay, I'm not doing the scrolling. The scrolling is happening on its own. It's because this mouse is broken. It's broken. The new one's coming on Monday, so hopefully we can stay sane till then. Hopefully. The Outlast Project Judas. I think it's a new thing. Enhanced edition as well. I love this song. I didn't even know this song like 5 days ago. Someone told me about this. Tokyo Extreme Racer. Nah, I don't need it. I got Forza 6. I don't need any other game right now. I don't need any other racer game right now. Replaced. The Binding of Isaac Rebirth. Ultimate Chicken Horse. Life is Strange, I do want to play it, but I think I'll complete mixtape before that. Inconbini. One Store Mini Stories. Opus. Could be fun. It looks like kind of horror, like a post-apocalyptic story. Like from this. Lost your memories, together you'll uncover the mysteries of this land through your camera and find your way home. Oh. How much is it? Opus Echoes of Star Song Full Bloom Edition. Prism Peak, Rockets, or Whisper. The Day We Found Earth. Oh, Opus is, I think, then. Is Opus like a series or something? It might be a series. Hot dog, horseshoes, hand, and grenade. Categories. Recommendation. Browse. Upcoming releases. Let's see. This is what I want to see. Let's see. Dawn of War 2. No, wait. 4. Dawn of War 4. Not 2. Broken Lore. Follow. Mike goes on hike. This feels like a Lockdown Protocol character is lost in some kind of new planet, maybe. Delight, okay. Tamer, King of Dinosaurs, Dream Stranded, no. Dancing Line. Nope. Where the Forest Ends. It seems like a platformer, 2D platformer. Arcane Merchant, no. Underchoice, no. Tattoo Removal Simulator. Yeah. Let's see. What is this? Dark Tide. Skitari. Burgling Gnomes. This I've seen. I've seen this one. Though it's still in like I think it was in early access a few months ago. Fate Keeper. Oh, it's gonna come to early access soon. It might be like a Souls like hack and slash. Oh, not a Souls like then. Mecha Chameleon. Maybe a hide and seek game, I think. Online 404. Rogue Trader. No idea what this is about. A 1 to 4 player physics-based fishing simulator where while drinking and boating you suddenly crash into a small island. To work your way back home you have to learn how to fish. This might be a good one. Like to play with others. This might be a good one. How does she already know about this? Okay. Third quarter. So before September, I think. Solar Punk. 8th June. What's it about though? Building and farming and stuff. Floating islands, alone or together with your friends. You can construct buildings, grow food, craft gadgets, and hop on your airship to explore distant islands in the sky. Oh, that might be fun. NDE. Nevernes to Evanes. Yeah, when it comes on stream, then I can play this. Until then, I don't wanna. Grim Dawn, Fangs of Ashtrakan? No. Car Mechanic Simulator? No, thank you. Engine Fall? Maybe. Finished you. Okay. I think I'm done for the day. I don't have anything else to do right now. Let's raid someone. Let's see, who can we? Following, maybe some. Let's go to Jay. We can watch some Val. Take care, guys. I'm hopping off. Thank you for joining. Really appreciate it. I had great fun during the collab. It was really fun. Talked about so many balls. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. And hopefully we reach our 340 goal tomorrow. Maybe. Hopefully. Please. I hope. But for now, good night. Take care. Bye-bye.